A
few of the most notable points in the report include an incident in January 2011 when Clinton's personal email server was targeted by hackers twice in the same day and had to be shut down. We also learned that Clinton declined the Inspector General's request for an interview for their investigation, and that State Department staffers who raised concern about cybersecurity risk related to her use of personal email were told never to speak of her personal email system again.
That's Fox's Garrett Tenney. A hip-hop concert cut short in New York City last night. Shots were fired backstage before T.I. even performed. One person was killed, 3 wounded. The gunman's not been found. NYPD Chief of Detectives William Aubrey says they're
canvassing for video and looking for cameras in the area that could help us identify people that were there that witnessed this scene.
Parts of rural Kansas twisted apart by a large tornado that was on the ground for more than an hour, damaging or destroying up to 25 homes. It came within a mile of the small town of Chapman. More bad weather's possible in that region today. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Gray skies, cloudy, and a little bit of fog this morning, especially in the suburbs near the forest preserves. Drive with extra care this morning there. 65 degrees. 5:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Crews are cleaning up the damage left over by the powerful storms that struck Chicagoland yesterday. Showers and storms causing flooding in the city and suburbs. Trees and power lines knocked down, although ComEd tells us this morning there are just a few customers left in the dark without power. Only scattered outages remain. No one was hurt when a house fire sprung from a lightning strike in Spring Grove. The Democrat-led Illinois House has passed an out-of-balance budget for next year in defiance of Republican Governor Bruce Rauner's wish for pro-business legislation and ongoing negotiation. Republicans howled in protest after Democrats stopped any debate on any other budget plan and rammed through their out-of-balance budget on a 63-53 vote. The state's now been without a spending plan for 11 months. Rauner has indicated that he will veto that bill if it reaches its desk. The budget now has to head to the democratically controlled Senate. Recordings of Drew Peterson and a fellow inmate he allegedly enlisted to help him kill a prosecutor reveal Peterson became suspicious after he was shown a photo of that prosecutor. The wiretap played in court Wednesday as Peterson stood trial on charges accusing him of plotting to kill Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow in retaliation for the former suburban Chicago police officer's 2012 conviction in his ex-wife's death. The Illinois Supreme Court has denied Chicago State University's appeal of an award of more than $3 million to a former administrator in a whistleblower case. Cook County jury in 2014 found that James Crowley was fired for turning over former university president Wayne Watson's employment records to a faculty member under the state's open records law. Protests have begun ahead of McDonald's annual shareholder meetings in suburban Oak Brook. Chicago officials are considering an ordinance that would place stricter regulations on those ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft. Joakim Noah's time as a Bull may be over. Sun-Times reporting the veteran big man is telling teammates he's done with the Bulls organization once free agency begins. Cubs over St. Louis 9-8. Cleveland beat the White Sox 4-3. San Jose's Sharks to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 24 years, their entire team history, after a win over St. Louis 5-2. Cleveland pounds Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals, 116-78 last night. The news, a service of J.C. Penney Optical. Get to J.C. Penney Optical for the Memorial Day sale at the Louis Joliet Mall. Save 60% off frames and lenses. Sat 60% off top designers like Liz Claiborne and Isaac Mizrahi. Visit jcpenneyoptical.com for all details or to find a store near you. Sale ends June 4th. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Republican Party faces an existential crisis.
What is it that we need to do to unify the Republican Party and all strains of conservative wings in the party?
As the shadow of Trump looms large over the party.
I don't think I'm a divisive person. I'm a unifier.
Meanwhile, you're just wondering who the heck to vote for this fall. And we're here to help.
Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie to benefit themselves and their people.
The latest news, opinion, and insight only on your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Lex Howard, CEO of Balance of Nature. Statistics show that most people will listen to this commercial 7 times before they finally purchase Balance of Nature. Don't be a statistic. Take action to determine your future.
My mother switched over to Balance of Nature from all the vitamins, and she was having a lot of issues. She's 71, and she had issues with irritable bowel syndrome and things like that, and then like even urinating in the middle of the night, and all of that has cleared up. I mean, there's a lady that just was on the radio recently said, like, you changed her quality of life. Like, totally you did that for my mother.
Begin giving your body the fruits and vegetables it needs every day. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day health challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
5:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the very latest this morning with Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. There is some fog in the area. Allow extra following distance. Of course, many roads are still wet. There is a closure still at O'Hare. The ramp from westbound 190 to Manheim is shut down after a rollover truck crash, which happened last night. Northbound Lakeshore Drive, the ramp to the outbound Stevenson has reopened after overnight construction. Tonight you'll have traffic around Grant Park and Millennium Park. The Corporate Challenge 5K will have street closures, including Columbus, Balbo, Jackson, Monroe, as well as Lower Wacker east of Michigan from 6:30 tonight till 10:30. Traffic is a service as well of JCPenney Optical. Get to JCPenney Optical for the Memorial Day sale at Louis Joliet Mall. Save 60% off frames and lenses. That's 60% off top designers like Liz Claiborne and Isaac Mizrahi. Visit jcpenneyoptical.com for details or to find a store near you. Sale ends June 4th. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answers starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Humid with clouds and sun today with a high 85, then a mostly cloudy night, low 67. Clouds and sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow. Still humid with a high 82 and a mostly cloudy night, low 66. A shower or a thunderstorm Saturday, high of 80. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
In Chicago this morning, 64 at O'Hare, 68 along Chicago's lakefront, 69 Midway. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Live with Andrew Holmes. Get honest answers to your questions every Sunday at 12 noon.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So you can add the State Department Inspector General to the vast right-wing conspiracy. State Department yesterday released a report that concluded that Hillary Clinton violated the agency's email rules when she chose to exclusively use a private email server during her 4 years at State and did not promptly turn over records after she departed the agency. That's the conclusion of the State Department's Inspector General. Uh-oh.
But is this going to put the nail in the coffin? Is this going to be the beginning of the end of her career? Because the people I was with last night, they're like, who cares? This is just a right-wing conspiracy to bring down a qualified female candidate.
Which is, what role does the Inspector General? Ask those people who the Inspector General is at the State Department. Who is that person, since you're so knowledgeable about this? How does the conspiracy work? And what role is the Inspector General playing? That's fine. You can say whatever you want.
And of course, they point out, well, Colin Powell, other Secretary of States use private emails, but I don't think they set up a private unsecured server, and she didn't get permission to do it. She just thinks she's above the law, and she did it anyway.
Yeah, there's a part of what was released includes an email between exchange between her and Mrs. Carlos Danger. Mrs. Carlos Danger writing, "We should talk about putting you on state email or releasing your email address to the department so you're not going to spam." That document was absent from the trove of Clinton records published on the State Department's website this year and last year. It's unclear if she turned them over. But the State Department, the state IG, said Clinton should have preserved her emails and also surrendered all emails dealing with department business before leaving government service. She didn't. Because she did not do so, I'm quoting from the IG's report, because she did not do so, she did not comply with the department's policies that were implemented in accordance with the Federal Records Act, which is a federal law. Which part of the conspiracy is that? She did not comply with federal law. I guess I would say to your fact-free Cackle Caucus friends that I get it. Hillary is above the law. You don't care what she does. You're just going to vote for her because you have no firing synapses. I get it. That's fine.
No, but I told them too, and they said, well, what does it matter? Even if she, obviously she did put her, private email or state secrets on her private server, on her private emails. And I said, well, that's what it is. She could have put people who are serving overseas in jeopardy. Our servicemen and women.
So they don't understand that protecting state secrets is an important thing.
No,
that's a revelation to them. Well, that tells you, I guess, the quality of the thinking among some segment of the Hillary Clinton support network.
Yeah, she could do no wrong, like Donald Trump could do no wrong.
Yeah,
it's the same mindset. I'm telling you, it's.
Well, that's not a mindset because that implies mind.
Okay. Oh. Hey-o.
Yes, but you should also let them know they are a part of a very exclusive and insular minority because nobody believes that, which is why Hillary Clinton's numbers are as bad as Donald Trump's. Nobody believes that. Everybody understands she violated federal law at minimum with respect to the server, and probably, I think there's a presumption that there were some very curious things going on with her and Whispering Sid Blumenthal during her time at State Department, funneling cash to the Clinton Foundation. And we talked to Peter Schweitzer yesterday about it, the author of Clinton Cash, and he makes the point, too. I mean, just, fine. If you want to suspend disbelief, there's no way to get to you, right? If you just want to kind of walk headlong over the cliff, then enjoy the walk. But here's the thing. Why did Bill Clinton's speaking fees spike, double, from prior to Hillary Clinton being Secretary of State to Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State in terms of foreign governments and major corporations paying a premium for Bill Clinton to speak? All of a sudden, as Schweitzer said, did he get twice as persuasive? Were his speeches twice as good prior to 2009?
Why was his stock rising?
Yeah.
And people know the answer to that.
Well, right. And so
they wanted to get in good with Hillary, so give her husband an exorbitant amount of money for a speech. And there we go. Then we can start the chains of communication.
And why were these same enterprises donating to the Clinton Foundation during her tenure there? Because they're good people that want to see, that appreciate the Clinton initiative's grand work throughout the world? Is that what was happening? Or was it buying access? And by the way, remember, the Clintons violating Hillary specifically, since she was the officer, the Secretary of State, violating an agreement they had made with the Obama administration regarding fundraising for the Clinton Foundation during her time as Secretary of State. Now, that's not a federal law, but I think it goes to her word and their focus, Clinton Inc., which is to line their pockets and leverage everything they have to do so and do it in as opaque a manner as possible, trying to avoid scrutiny, not, behaving like everything they do they're happy to have on the 6 o'clock news because they don't want any of it. Oh, by the way, That's not just with respect to Hillary. Her former chief of staff, Cheryl Mills, has petitioned a federal judge to not release audio or video recordings of a deposition Mills is scheduled to give tomorrow about Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server during her tenure as Secretary of State. Huh. She doesn't want that on the 6 o'clock news either. Wonder why. I mean, if nobody did anything wrong, and if everybody's proud of their service and every piece of it, then why play games with the emails? Why not tell whoever wants the video, here's the video, here's what I have to say. I'm happy to have you record my deposition and distribute it however you see fit. Because I did nothing wrong. I always operated within the bounds of the law, and there's nothing to see here. Why? Because there's a lot to see here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton to see.
Did you
here.
go through all the 78 pages
of
this report?
No, I didn't have time. I was reading Madigan's 500-page fairy tale called A State Budget. So I only have so much reading time for nonsense on a given day. But
is this going to lead her to handcuffs? I mean, could she be charged with the crime? I mean, I know the FBI is doing their own investigation. You have the State Department doing theirs, and they've concluded their investigation. But what's going to happen next?
Well,
is it just a guessing game?
This all goes to what Jim Comey does. I mean, ultimately, this all funnels to the FBI and what Jim Comey decides to do. But as the evidence continues to mount, and as you have reports like this IG report released, what is a Jim Comey to do with everything the public knows, on top of everything he must know, and the 150 agents he had assigned to the Hillary investigation must have gathered? I see, again, boy, this is going to be a real watershed moment, not just in this campaign, but in the history of this country. Because if Hillary Clinton, with everything we know she did in contravention of federal law, both the black letter and spirit, then, we really have reached a point where certain politicians at a certain level are above the law. And it didn't used to be that way. As cynical as the country became after Watergate, Richard Nixon was effectively held to account. And Hillary Clinton isn't going to be 40 years later. Talk about closing the circle from the young Watergate lawyer to now the individual who is beyond Nixonian. Clintonian, has replaced Nixonian. And we'll find out if there's a new paradigm in America where certain politicians are just above the law and they're allowed to do whatever they want as long as there's enough of their party's infrastructure in the halls of power so that it can be blocked at Department of Justice, or it can be blocked, frankly, in the Oval Office. Greg and Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan and Amy. I will not turn this into a computer technical discussion here, but I do need to touch on things. My particular point is that if someone were to explain to the American public who has at least a knowledge of what Norton is and basic things for PC, how serious this is in terms of stupidity on these three levels. One, to break into an unsecured computer with just Norton is like a piece of cake. That is the reason why banks and everybody else uses BlackBerries for phones, is because they have that BlackBerry in that day, still today, has a separate server that is, encrypted far better than the rest. So that's the reason why they do it. That's what she avoided, and that's what she put at risk. But then last but not least, when you deleted all of that stuff, Hillary, you didn't understand the concept of what a FAT table is, or a file allocation table. When you hit delete, you're only deleting the very first bit structure to that which is giving you the address of everything else that's on the disk. Everything else is still there. And thus, when she said she did that, I said, it's just going to be a matter of time until they run the software that's going to put the whole thing back together, and that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Greg. I wouldn't say it's stupidity, though, on their part. I would say it's treachery. Sherry and Addison, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Amy, I'd like to ask your friends, and maybe you can clear up my confusion. Hillary Clinton is either a very intelligent and capable woman that is being screwed over by the right-wing establishment, or she's really, truly stupid and conniving and, as Dan said, treacherous, because she deliberately uses her private server to possibly conceal nefarious activities, such as with her fundraising group. I've always wondered how Chelsea got so much money real quick, and this whole thing, this is why women like me, who are just your everyday run-of-the-mill conservatives who run a small business, don't relate with the left-wing feminists out there because we think they're just stupid. And you can tell your girlfriends that. They really don't have an IQ above room temperature. I don't know how you could say anybody is capable and competent and yet pull a stunt like that. That's my comment.
Thanks for the call, Sherry.
I mean, I think Hillary Clinton, I don't think she's stupid. I think she's sinister, she's evil, and she's self-serving.
Right.
And that's what the proof is in that Inspector General's report is just that. I mean, she bent the rules, but put government secrets on the line.
No.
And didn't even hand over
Right.
all of her emails before she left the office.
Right.
And she thinks that nobody's going to care. And most of the Democrats that are in Camp Hillary, they don't care. Which is sad.
Hillary's conniving, and your friends are mopes. We got that.
Vast right-wing conspiracy.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up while you were sleeping, Hillary Clinton responding to the Inspector General's report over her email servers. But first, here is the forecast. It's going to be warm, hot, and humid today, a high of 86 degrees. And tomorrow, sunshine, couple of showers, possibly a thunderstorm. Humid once again, a high of 82. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. The Edens is fine right now. In some areas, you've got some fog, so visibilities are reduced. And as always, allow a little following distance. Kennedy looking good. Express lanes are open inbound. No delays, 340 either way. The Eisenhower's fine. At O'Hare, though, 190 westbound. The exit to southbound Manheim is closed due to a truck crash, which happened last night. The cleanup is ongoing. Eisenhower, Stevenson, good for now. Inbound ride, a little heavy approaching downtown. Bishop Ford, traffic hits the brakes approaching the merge. No delays to report on the area tollways. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Ah, Chicago. There's so much to do and enjoy. But when was the last time you explored the city? It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind of commuting and working, but not experiencing everything that Chicago has to offer. It's time to take a new adventure this summer. And it starts with the Hyatt Centric, the Loop Chicago in the heart of the city. The Hyatt Centric is an exclusive, one-of-a-kind property set in historic 1920s-era Art Deco decor. You'll enjoy bright, spacious rooms, innovative, upscale French cuisine, panoramic rooftop dining, all just minutes from Millennium Park and the Mag Mile. Create your adventure during the Hyatt Centric Summer Promotion, featuring special rates for your weekend getaway. Now through May 31st, your Thursday through Sunday reservation receives up to a 15% room rate discount. That's 15% on the weekends. Reserve today at theloopchicago.centric.hyatt.com. theloopchicago.centric.hyatt.com. Rooms are fully prepaid and non-refundable at the time of booking, based on availability.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-204-1201. That's 1-800-204-1201. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. Dial 1-800-204-1201. That's 1-800-204-1201.
If medications haven't helped you treat your depression, why haven't you tried TMS therapy offered by Theramind? Now there is a way to successfully treat your depression without the need for meds and their harmful side effects. TMS therapy is covered by most insurance, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Don't continue to suffer needlessly. Call Theramind. Don't wait. Call Theramind now. 847-562-5868. The single greatest advancement to date in treating depression is TMS. It's an FDA-cleared, non-drug, safe, and effective treatment. TMS has already changed the lives of over 50,000 patients. Why not you? Visit TMSmind.com. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. Call Theramind today. 847-562-5868. Or get more info at TMSmind.com. That's Theramind at 847-562-5868 or online at TMSmind.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, State Department spokesman, a guy named Toner, responded to this yesterday, the release of this Inspector General report from State that we've been discussing. Here's what he said.
While people were aware of her use of personal email, no one had a full and complete understanding of to the extent.
Oh, boy.
Oh, and that's coming from her own fellow Democrats.
It's time to run from the blast zone. It's time to cover yourself. And that's what State Department seems to be doing. I mean, what are you going to do? Disavow the Inspector General's report and kind of the mountain of evidence that suggests that she violated department policy consistent with federal law? Or are you going to provide a little bit of rhetorical separation? And that's what State did there. David in Portage, Indiana, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning.
Morning.
When I was trying to, it all started when she was young. She was fired as an assistant AJ because she was lying to her boss. She was dishonest, and she was unbecoming. I don't know the rest of the criteria, but she was fired as an assistant AG, and it starts when you're young.
Well, she wasn't an assistant AG in the federal government. You're talking about during the Watergate era?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she actually wasn't fired. Thanks for the call, David. It's one of those stories that floats around.
So what's the real truth?
The real truth is that she wasn't fired. That someone who was not her boss suggested he would have fired her, or that perhaps she should have been fired, that she was a critic of hers. He wrote a book about it in 1995, didn't mention at the time that she was fired. I think he gave an interview like in 2008 or 2009 that suggested she had been fired. But the evidence suggests that it's not the case. And with Hillary, you don't need to you don't need to reach. No. The case is strong enough. You don't need to overstate it. So I know that's one of those things that's out there. But when we talk about what we want to distribute in terms of Hillary, let's just measure twice and cut once, because there's just so much to go through. We don't need to repeat things that have been proven false.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Now that spring has arrived, it's likely you're looking forward to the warmer weather. But if you're a business owner, facilities manager, or maintenance engineer, you risk the same potential problem every year. A complete system failure. In fact, up to half of all commercial air conditioning units fail upon startup each season due to the lack of regular maintenance and repair. Let the professionals at Air Comfort make a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system before there's a problem. A poorly operating air conditioning system results in uneven temperatures and humidity problems, leading to unhealthy mold and mildew growth. Don't compromise your business's overall air quality. Schedule today with Air Comfort. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Even if you're under contract with another provider, let Air Comfort provide your second opinion. After all, there's a reason why hundreds of businesses have trusted Air Comfort with their mechanical maintenance for more than 80 years. That's Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935.
You know, most people think when the stock market falls, everyone loses money. But guess what? That's not true. There's a select group of people who reap in huge profits even when the market falls. How would you like to know what they know so you can make money in any market condition? Online Trading Academy has just produced a new video called How to Make Money When the Markets Fall. They would like to send you home with this free video when you attend one of their free half-day classes. This will help you understand how to make money when the market is up, down, or sideways. Once you understand how to make money in all kinds of market conditions, everything changes. Stop losing money. Stop losing sleep. Watch this video. Learn what Wall Street doesn't want you to know. Call Online Trading Academy now at 888-601-TRADE. That's 888-601-8723. 888-601-TRADE. Call 888-601-TRADE or online at tradingacademy.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know what else is interesting about the Hillary email matter? FBI still has not interviewed her about the email matter. Maybe they won't. And maybe if they don't, it's because she is a target, and there is something afoot that is going to come as a surprise to most observers.
Well, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, have you heard Donald Trump might debate Bernie Sanders?
Well, that'd be fun. And House Speaker Mike Madigan continues his war on math. That's at 5:37.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. The town of Chapman, Kansas this morning in rubble, torn apart by a tornado in 2008 and again hit overnight. 25 homes damaged or destroyed. A large tornado formed around 7 and stayed on the ground continuously for the next hour and a half and in Dixon County, Kansas. State Department Inspector General's report about Hillary Clinton's computer system providing details about who knew about it, its vulnerabilities, and the bureaucratic mismanagement that allowed it to operate outside normal channels. The report says only Clinton's most trusted aides knew about the existence of that private server. Donald Trump weighing in on the harsh report on Clinton's emails.
She's as crooked as they come. She had a little bad news today, as you know, from some reports came down weren't so good, but not so good.
President Obama, other leaders of major industrial democracies taking part in 2 days of meetings this morning, beginning in Japan.
It's been extremely productive. I think that one of the benefits of the G7 is you have like-minded countries who are committed to democracy and free markets and international law.
Leaders of the U.S., Japan, Canada, Britain, Germany, France, and Italy taking up a wide range of political, economic, and environmental issues today. France's prime minister says a labor reform bill that has sparked nationwide strikes and protests could be modified but will not be abandoned. Union activists have disrupted fuel supplies, trains, and nuclear plants. The proposed reforms seek to boost hiring by loosening protection for some French workers. Crews here are cleaning up the damage left over by storms that slammed the Chicago area overnight. Most power outages have been restored, according to ComEd. A woman is dead following a crash in south suburban Sauk Village that sent a semi into a home. It happened late yesterday along Route 394. Protests have begun ahead of McDonald's annual shareholders meeting in Oak Brook. And the Chicago Fire Department is confirming that a high-ranking member was drunk when he crashed a city-owned vehicle. John McNicholas had a blood alcohol level that was nearly twice the legal limit. The accident happened last month just off Lakeshore Drive on the north side. McNicholas has since resigned from the department but has not been charged with DUI. Cubs over St. Louis, 9-8. Cleveland over the White Sox, 4-3. San Jose, with a win over St. Louis, advances to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in their team's history. And the Cavaliers are a win away from a trip to the NBA Finals after a blowout win over Toronto. The news, a service of JCPenney Optical. Get to JCPenney Optical for the Memorial Day sale at Louis Joliet Mall. 60% off frames and lenses. 60% off top designers like Liz Claiborne and Isaac Mizrahi. Visit jcpenneyoptical.com for details or a store near you. Sale ends June 4th. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560, The Answer.
The average Republican voter out there right now is looking for an outsider who will blow the whole damn thing up.
The Joe Walsh Show.
I don't want somebody who comes from Washington. I don't want somebody to get along with Democrats. Not this year. I want the whole system blown up. That's why Trump, or that's why Cruz.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560, The Answer.
This year, that's where Republican voters are at.
Tea times, golf outings, driving range, golf academy, brunch, dinner, weddings, banquets, receptions. Find and do it all at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Info online at BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
If you use a free credit monitoring service, you may think it will also protect your identity. But what you may not realize is that some free credit monitoring services feel free to sell your personal information. And that's a big price to pay. At LifeLock, we would never, ever sell your personal information. Instead, we help to protect you from identity theft by using proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a wide range of potential threats. And in the event that we discover a problem, we have a team of U.S.-based specialists who will work to resolve it. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock helps to protect you without selling your information. Remember, free credit monitoring can cost you your personal information. LifeLock memberships start at just $9.99 a month plus applicable taxes. And now you can get 10% off a LifeLock membership. Go to lifelock.com and enter promo code NEWS. LifeLock.
.535 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. At O'Hare, traffic is heavy on westbound 190 from River Road to Manheim. The exit ramp to southbound Manheim is closed due to a truck crash which happened last night. The cleanup continues. Northbound Tri-State Tollway, north of 22 at Everett, there's a crash. 2 right lanes are blocked. Inbound Ryan, traffic is getting heavy now, approaching downtown. It's slow 18th into the Burn Circle. Got a 2 or 3 minute delay. Bishop Ford, just a little congestion approaching the merge. Prepare to slow down there. Eden's fine, Kennedy as well. No delays to report yet on the Eisenhower and the Stevenson, though traffic is building for the rush. We also have a crash just reported on the eastbound Adams Tollway, well northwest of Chicago. 173 blocking 2 left lanes. Traffic also a service of JCPenney Optical. Get to JCPenney Optical for the Memorial Day sale. Louis Joliet Mall save 60% off frames and lenses. That's 60% off top designers like Liz Claiborne and Isaac Mizrahi. Visit jcpenneyoptical.com for details or to find a store near you. Sale ends June 4th. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Very warm today, humid, clouds and sunshine. There's a good chance of a shower or thunderstorm as we approach noontime with a high of 86. 67 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by College Illinois. Secure your child's future by enrolling them today at collegeillinois.org.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Mike Madigan, at about 4:30 yesterday, unveiled a 500-page budget. A 500-page budget that's $7.5 billion unconstitutionally out of balance.
How much?
$7.5 billion. Would spend 40.4. Revenues expected to be 32 and change.
I'm glad you read it so that we didn't have to. But that's what you were reading instead of the 78-page Inspector General's report.
Paging through. It was it's a fairy tale. Once upon a time, and it ends in like a Cormac McCarthy dystopian nightmare, which is what Illinois has become. $7.5 billion. And so here's the thing about it. Released yesterday at 4:30, voted on, basically a partisan roll call vote as expected, although 6 Democrats did also vote against it. Passed 66-53-1 with Mike Smitty. He was too busy playing Candy Crush down there in Quad Cities to weigh in yes or no on it. But
But 6 Democrats voted against it. That's a start.
So what you had is Democrats, once again, having to pass a bill to find out what's in it. I mean, it was given to them about 45 minutes before they voted it up. So of course, they have no idea what's in it because who cares? You know, it's kind of a statement of we want more spending, we want bigger government, $7.5 billion gap. So that would require, according to I think it was the governor's analysis, his staff, would require to close that gap, the state income tax to go up to 5.5%. So you on board for that? You on board for
more taxation? No.
Paying for stuff that you've already paid for and just making the interest payments and bailing out CPS, another $400 million to CPS, $100 million to the Chicago Public School Teacher Fund, Pension Fund. So there's $500 million of your money to bail out 2 systems that are functionally bankrupt. And by the way, those are drops in the bucket in terms of the bailout, given that what's required there. 312-642-5600 Turnkey.Pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. When are you leaving Illinois? That's the question, because it's the conversation I routinely have as I get around the state a bit. Within the first couple of minutes of talking to somebody, you end up talking to them about their exit strategy from Illinois.
I mean, I think I can't leave Illinois until 2023 because of a parenting agreement that I'm locked into. But if I could, I work so hard to get back here. And the fact that our politicians are just running this place into the ground, and they keep taxing us. And I don't know when the breaking point is. I mean, really, because I don't want them to win, Dan, because if I move out, I feel like they won.
I know they should leave. They're the ones who suck. I agree. But unfortunately, there's a lot of apparently support for this sort of governance, a governance that has destroyed this state's economy. And Mike Madigan just quadrupled down on, frankly, expediting the continued destruction. It is what's happening under Mike Madigan, 30 years, longest serving state house speaker in U.S. history, 3 decades at the helm, supermajorities of Democrats in both chambers. Is what's happening something you like? I would love to hear from Democrats who've abided this for all these decades and now are just aghast at where we are. And most of them are in the Chicago Press Corps. I mean, Mark Brown's a good example. All of his sentimental sophistry about social service providers. And they're not getting paid. That's right. It's terrible. And you know what? Mark and all of you liberal do-gooders, and I use that term in the pejorative sense because you haven't done anything except be a co-conspirator in the destruction of this state and in the maltreatment of the most vulnerable populations that you say you're so concerned about. Actually, you're lying. You're liars. And I don't know how you frankly look at yourselves in the mirror, rationalize this to yourself. You're co-conspirators in punishing developmentally disabled children. That's what you are, Chicago Democrats. Make no mistake about it, because despite what you read from sophists like Mark Brown and Kel Marine and all these other left-wing hacks who've been handmaidens to Madigan and Cullerton and the Chicago Democrat power structure for the last century, despite what you hear from them, it turns out we were the worst nation in provision of social service providers before Bruce Rauner ever showed up to town. So what do you say about that? Who was in charge then? Who was in charge for the last 15 years when you had the governor's mansion in addition to the General Assembly? All 3 branches of government. You got the state Supreme Court, too. So tell me again. Now you're going to say, as Madigan said, people are dying. Yeah, people are dying to get out of here. And the ones who can't are being punished, and they're being punished under your lordship. You licentious little leprechaun, Mike Madigan, and your toady, John Cullerton, and that tiny dancer up here in Chicago, and the, Lord Daley before him. Same people, more or less, same policies, and now you just had somebody say $7 billion out of balance. Unpaid state bills would go up to $15 billion. State income tax would go up to 5.5%. And what do you get? More of the same. Even Barbara Flynn Curry, the House Majority Leader, said as much. And we'll talk to Kristen McQuarrie about that. She caught what, at the top of the 8 o'clock hour from the Tribune, she caught what Barbara Flynn Curry had to say. Yeah, same old, same old. Well, how's the same old going? Good? I mean, I honestly, I don't understand. I want to hear a defense for voting for a single Democrat legislator in this state. And oh, by the way, this isn't just a Chicago problem, because you've got these co-conspirators and the destruction of the state of Illinois' economy and the prevention of services to persons with developmental disabilities in the inadequate education of children. You have co-conspirators in all of those criminal undertakings in the suburbs. You've got all kinds of Democrat state legislators that, run around at the fish fry on Friday night, and you know them, and oh gosh, Michelle Mussman in Schaumburg, she's so nice, and I like her energy, And, I know her from this and I know her from that, and she's great. Carol Sente up in Lincolnshire. Oh, yeah, no, I know Carol. We served on some board together. We go to the same church. She's great. Are they? Are they great? They go down to Springfield, and they'll roll call votes for everything that you say you don't like. Everything that you have watched happen to Illinois that you pretend to be outraged over. Spare me your moral indignation when you go to the polls in November and vote for the Carol Sentes and Michelle Mussmans and Deb Conroy out in DuPage County and Mike Smitty in the Quad Cities. And I could go on and on.
Well, who are the 6 Democrats who voted against it?
Who cares? Chip in St. Charles, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, at least the roads in the state are really good. I mean, it's like driving over glass. Everywhere you go, it's just the roads are so pristine. At least all this tax money that we're paying to the state. At least we're really getting something for it. I mean, it's just thank goodness that they're taking good care of the infrastructure. That the money is going to some place that's really helping us all out. The roads in the state are garbage.
Thanks, Chip. The 6 Democrats who voted against it: Kate Clunan, Target, Kankakee; John Bradley, Target, Southern Illinois; Mike Smitty voted present, Target, Quad Cities; Andy Skoog, Target, LaSalle County; Dan Beiser, Target, Southern Illinois; Sam Yingling, Target, Lake County; and Brandon Phelps, Target, Southern Illinois. Don't give them any credit for voting against it. They're all targets, and because they only, you need 60 votes to pass it, they got 63. So it gave cover for these other erstwhile Madigan roll call votes to pretend like they're, on your side too, and they're willing to stand up to Madigan. Nobody is willing to stand up to Madigan. Nobody. Frankly, including a lot of Republicans, I'm sorry to say. But nobody on the Democrat side is willing to stand up to him. And when you see Democrats vote against Mike Madigan, don't be suckered yet again on top of all the other scams you've fallen prey to. They're just being given authority to vote against the Madigan position because it's in their political interest, and retaining them in their seats is in Madigan's political interest because he wants his supermajority.
So everything's orchestrated. They don't care about the people. They just care about themselves.
Of course it's orchestrated.
Keeping their seat.
Oh, and by the way, on a related note, CPS. Oh, more money for CPS.
Well, they keep sending the emails. You're not going to have sports next year. You're not going to have music class. You're not going to have art class.
Does anybody ask why?
They said there's no money and they have to cut teachers. I asked why. That's what they told me.
Yeah, well, they're lying.
$1.3 million out of our budget alone, and Lane Tech $8.5 million.
Yeah. But what is happening? $38,000 per student.
Okay.
The real cost of CPS borrowing in Cranes, $38,000 per CPS student. This is the organization that's $500 million under Madigan's phony baloney budget. Inflation-adjusted spending per pupil in CPS since 2001, 15 years, increased by nearly 40%. 40% increase in 15 years. Are we getting a 40% better product? CPS owes bondholders and the pension fund more than $38,000 for every student. That's up from less than $10,000 in 2001. Spending on textbooks has declined by 36%. Spending on classroom supplies has fallen by 60%. Budgets for elementary school sports have been cut. Annual per pupil spending on capital repairs and replacement has dropped in half. And you know why? Because of everything we rail against, and then we're told we're anti-teacher and we're anti-kid. Where's the money going? Where's it going? All that 40% increase and all of those cuts, all those spending reductions, it's going to salaries and pensions. Of course it is. The pension contributions in that same period have jumped from 2% of total CPS spending to more than 10%. 5-time increase over that same period. Because you cannot make the math work. You cannot keep up with the liabilities you are accruing in a real-time basis. It is a joke. And the joke is on us, all of us, and particularly those people voting Democrat and thinking they're doing something good for their state.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
hot and humid conditions today, that's for sure. A high near 90 degrees, a little bit cooler near the lake. And then tomorrow we're going to have some sun, a couple of showers, possible thunderstorm. It'll continue to be warm and humid, a high of 82. Any morning fog out on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Yeah, visibilities are reduced in parts of the Chicago area. So as always, when that's the case, allow a little extra following distance. Many roads are wet, too, after last night's rains. We do have delays at O'Hare on westbound 190. Traffic is stop and go from River Road to Manheim. The exit to southbound Manheim still closed after a truck crash which happened last night. Main lanes of the Kennedy are clear. The Edens is good. Inbound Eisenhower, though. Stop and go from Manheim to Des Plaines Avenue. 35 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 34. It's also heavy approaching Des Plaines Avenue. Stevenson, inbound delay start at First Avenue. 40 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 18 minutes, 80-94 to the merge. Now the northbound Tri-State at Everett, that's north of 22. There is a crash there. You've got 2 lanes blocked, right lanes. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
You don't need a real estate agent with gimmicks. You need the selling power that only Ed Lukasik Jr. can give you.
I'm Ed Lukasik Jr., owner of RE/MAX Professionals. I know how to maximize the sale of your home.
Ed is listed in the top 30 RE/MAX agents nationwide.
When I list a home for you, I only represent you, not the buyer. I am fighting for your highest home value.
Ed Lukasik Jr., the #1 RE/MAX agent in Illinois for most closed listings.
I use the latest online and mobile technologies to market your home and drive buyer activity to my listings. That equals maximum exposure for my sellers.
Ed closed 260 homes last year. That's a home sold every 1.5 days.
I am an agent that has your best interests at heart. It's not about a quick sale. It's about negotiating to maximize every dollar so you get the highest value for your home.
Call Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals, 630-679-5454, 630-679-5454. Sell your house with the professionals. RE/MAX Professionals.
Place your orders for promotional items now for the year. Get ready for the big trade show. Provide shirts or jackets for all of your employees, students, or church members. Or giveaway items like coffee mugs, pens, or hats. Whatever it is, you can trust an American to take care of it.
This is Sam Gilberto, president of American Embroidery and Screen Printing and American Marketing Products. We specialize in putting your logo on just about anything. Our focus is entirely on you, our customer. We want every customer experience to be outstanding.
Here's an offer to help your budgets for the new year. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers.
We have the capability, capacity, and know-how to get your job done right and on time.
Call 630-766-2825. 630-766-2825. Get more at trustinamerican.com.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. You know, hormone balance is a big deal. If your hormones are out of whack, it can account for so many health challenges like low energy and fatigue, spaced out memory, low sex drive, otherwise known as the dead in bed syndrome. Nothing excites you anymore with you watching more and more TV every night, misusing food or alcohol, and then there's the hair loss that you thought was age appropriate, and then the weight gain. Let me tell you about our specially priced, dirt cheap hormone test. No blood, just saliva. Interesting that with over 33 years in private practice, I've never seen normal hormone test results in the first go-around. And that's why you need to have us help you balance your hormones once and for all. So call our HealthQuest radio hotline at 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. No blood, just spit. Call 800-794-1855. Oh, and be sure to listen to HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. But for now, call 800-794-1855.
AM 560, The Answer.
This is Dan talking about Madigan's fairy tale of a budget. Unless you are looking forward to a $7.5 billion tax increase. Mike on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Dan, you're wrong just to blame the people that vote Democratic. You have to blame the prosecutors. Because while all the pension shenanigans were going on, Daley was embezzling money for his projects, they didn't do anything. If you brought anything forward, what did If they listen to you, what did they say? You don't have any proof. You don't have any signed confessions. Well, it's real hard for a whistleblower to get a signed confession when you have American royalty in Chicago stealing left and right.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point, Mike. Thanks for the call. But I still don't think it absolves people from the predicate act of voting for criminals, the criminals you describe. There have been options before, maybe not so many in Chicago, but certainly at the state level and certainly at the local level with respect to state legislators. There have been options before, and people in this state, in many, many parts of it, most parts actually, have consistently made the wrong choice. So you get the government you deserve, and you get it good and hard.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I'm the chair for the company picnic committee, and I'm overwhelmed with finding the perfect catering partner.
Don't be freaked out by that. Tasty Catering has done our company picnic every year for the last 5 years. I actually went to Tasty Catering's kitchen first to taste the food. They serve juicy burgers right from the grill, fresh salads, awesome sides, and fun foods for the kids. Last year, we even had delicious brisket and an entire pig roast.
Can they handle all the details? There's not much time to plan.
Planning was even easier. Tasty Catering handled every detail, from serving pieces to inflatables for the kids, the DJ, and of course, the bar area.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
Just go to tastycatering.com. The pricing was right, and our CFO signed off on the contract immediately.
The best company picnics start at tastycatering.com. View picnic menus and locations, entertainment options, and more. That's tastycatering.com.
Hey, a great night out awaits you courtesy of ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Take advantage of a deal for a sumptuous dinner at the award-winning Buckingham Steakhouse. Enjoy an evening surrounded by luxurious decor, attentive service, all while dining on the finest and prime steaks and seafood. Get this, you can buy a $100 certificate for only $60. Hey, are you tired of visiting the usual burger joints? We'll give your taste buds a thrill at Prime Burger House. Be blown away with the decadence of their handcrafted burgers with a toppings sure to delight every taste, and get a $50 gift certificate for only $30. There's even some awesome deals for the famous Indulge Show Kitchen Seafood Buffet and anything but regular buffet. Now, these date night or family-friendly restaurants are located in the Pavilion at the Grand Victoria in Elgin. See details at ChicagoRadioDeals.com and the restaurant listings. Check in every week for dinner and entertainment deals only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
America has a serious narcotics problem. 90% of the world's narcotics are taken by Americans. They have a place, but when you're dealing with chronic pain, pain that doesn't go away or which frequently returns, there is a better way. You're masking the pain. We help you find and deal with the source of the chronic pain to get real relief. This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in pain. Our team are national leaders, and we're educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. Contact us. We will help you. You don't have to live with chronic pain. We treat all pain. We don't mask it with painkillers and narcotics that are not good for you and which can be addictive. I have a simple message for you. If you or someone you love or someone you know has chronic pain, contact us. Treating chronic pain issues is what we do. We can make it better. Get an appointment and let's talk. MyPainChicago.com, MyPainChicago.com. All the info is available at MyPainChicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
You know the name Barbara Walters. Now remember the company, Ameritrust Mortgage.
Ameritrust Mortgage was formed along with a talented professional staff that makes your mortgage process easy, swift, and cost-efficient for you, the home buyer, and for those who refinance. Ameritrust is all-inclusive, start to finish, the way lending should be. At Ameritrust, we believe it has been our privilege to have helped thousands of people over 30 years with purchasing or refinancing their home. We are here to help. Let us customize a loan program for your specific needs, FHA, VA, or conventional. At Ameritrust, the responsibility belongs to me. It's my name on the door. I am the president. I am Barbara Walters. Call Ameritrust now, 815-459-7303. Again, that number is 815-459-7303, or visit us at am560myhome.com.
Ameritrust Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee number 720, NMLS number 217229.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
If George Soros is funding NPR, why should taxpayers? We'll ask Congressman Mike Pompeo from Kansas at 6:06.
And later, a Chicago icon has been attacked. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. He's an icon. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, the Chicago area damaged by storms, recovering from the flooding and power outages. Chicago aldermen debate a ride-sharing ordinance, and activists protesting again outside McDonald's headquarters in Oak Brook. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. He's halfway around the world, but President Obama is still watching the campaign to replace him.
During primaries, people get a little grumpy with each other.
That's how he describes Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders. He has more choice words about Donald Trump. Fox's Alistair Wanklund traveling with the president in Issei, Japan.
Dave, speaking an hour ago, the president saying a lot of the proposals Donald Trump has made display, quote, an ignorance of world affairs.
Getting tweets and headlines instead of actually thinking through what it is that is required to keep America safe and secure and prosperous, and what's required to keep the world on an even keel.
Yeah, and he says world leaders are rattled. President Obama speaking midway through a G7 summit here in Japan. He said there's a need to accelerate global growth and push back against protectionism and what he called beggar thy neighbor economic policies, Dave.
Yeah, Lester Trump was out campaigning in California, including a $25,000 per ticket fundraiser. He also went on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live and said for a price, he would debate Bernie Sanders.
We would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity.
Sanders said game on. He'd love to debate Trump. Hillary Clinton still maintains she didn't break any rules using private email, while Secretary of State that her predecessors did too. Spokesman Brian Fallon adds,
there was no evidence that this personal server of hers was ever breached successfully.
But a new State Department Inspector General report is critical of Clinton's emailing, disregarding guidelines, and refusing to be interviewed in the investigation. A big tornado hit in rural Kansas last night, destroying or damaging around 25 homes outside the community of Chapman.
We have teams of emergency responders going to every home within the tornado path. We're checking to see if anybody's injured.
That's Ben Gardner with the Kansas Highway Patrol. There is the risk of more severe weather in that region today into tomorrow. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Skies are clear, but there are some thunderstorms in the state to our south and west near Peoria this morning, heading this way. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. On AM 560, The Answer, and crews are cleaning up damage left over by the storms that hit the Chicagoland area yesterday. Trees and power lines knocked down, although ComEd tells us very few customers are now left without electricity. Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan's budget plan introduced Wednesday, drawing immediate fire from Governor Bruce Rauner and his team of fellow Republicans in the General Assembly. AM 560's David Stewart with the update.
Madigan's partial spending plan would maintain funding levels for functions not covered by court orders and consent decrees and would add $500 million to school funding, including pension help for Chicago. A Rauner aide called it the phoniest of the phony budgets, $7 billion out of balance. State Rep. Ron Sandak said Madigan's ignoring the work of the bipartisan budget negotiators.
I can tell you he wasn't there, and I can tell you he's categorically misinformed. In each instance, they've been productive, and in each instance, they've been persuasive.
Madigan's move, though, puts Rauner in the position of having to veto money for schools, the poor, and the elderly. David Stewart, Chicago.
The Illinois Supreme Court denies a Chicago State University appeal of the awarding of more than $3 million to a former administrator in a whistleblower case. James Crowley was fired for turning over a former university president's employment records to a faculty member under the state's open records law. Protests have begun ahead of McDonald's annual shareholder meetings in Oak Brook. Low-wage workers are pitching a demand for a higher minimum wage. Chicago officials are considering an ordinance that would place stricter regulations on ride-sharing companies. Aldermen discussing legislation yesterday that would require ride-share drivers to get a chauffeur's license, background checks, and other training. Alderman Joe Moore does not back the measure.
I think this is nothing more than an attempt to stifle competition.
City Council could vote on that measure next month. Cubs beat St. Louis 9-8, backing Jake Arrieta, while Cleveland beat the White Sox 4-3. The news a service of Napa Auto Parts. With more than 400,000 quality parts and over 90 years of experience, Napa can help you keep just about anything on the road. So stop by your local Napa Auto Parts store and keep it running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager wants to know where the money will come from.
Do people not understand, and this is not a rhetorical question, do people who vote for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders not understand that all of these programs cost money? That's what they believe. There's an inexhaustible, because the rich are so rich, and they'll just get more money from them.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Thousands of people are choosing to drive with Uber. That's where the riders are. So drivers have less downtime, are busier making more trips, earning more money.
I choose to drive with Uber because of the money and flexibility. I'm my own boss. I get to do what I want, when I want, and still earn extra money. Driving with Uber is the smartest thing I've done.
Earn the extra money you need. Just an hour or two a day and the money adds up fast when you drive with Uber. Get started today. Take 2 minutes and sign up right now. Go to drivewithuber.com. Drivewithuber.com.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate adventure. Enjoy summertime fun on a Can-Am ATV, side-by-side, Can-Am Spyder, or Sea-Doo watercraft. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,500 on select 2015 models. Plus, get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now. Visit Maxim Power Sports in Merrillville. Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. For safety and training info, contact the ATV Safety Institute.
6:06. Let's get an update this morning on your ride to work in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. At O'Hare, the ramp now has reopened going from westbound 190 to southbound Manheim. We still have delays in that area on westbound 190, but it's clearing up fairly quickly. That ramp, again, reopening. It had been closed since last night due to a crash. The Edens is fine. Inbound Kennedy, slow from the River Road toll to Canfield. 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 20, but it's getting heavier. The Eisenhower is 45 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 44 with a crash past Displains Avenue, blocking both shoulders. Stevenson is jamming up. Weber to Cass and LaGrange Road to Kedzie. 55 minutes, 3:55 for Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine at 34. Ryan, 22 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 25 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower and from 22 to Everett with a crash now on the right shoulder. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, very warm and humid with clouds and sunshine, high of 85. Mostly cloudy and mild tonight, low 67. Clouds and sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow, humid with a high of 82. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly sunny and 65 at O'Hare, 67 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Crooked Hillary. She's as crooked as they come. She had a little bad news today, as you know, from some reports came down weren't so good.
While people were aware of her use of personal email, no one had a full and complete understanding of to the extent.
It doesn't change the fact that I never sent or received any material marked classified.
Are you prepared to debate the major issues facing our largest state and the country before the California primary? Yes or no? He wants to know if you will debate.
Yes, I am. How much is he going to pay me?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So we talked about this story yesterday or the day before with Jed Babin from the Washington Times a little bit. The story is National Public Radio, NPR, which gets a substantial portion of its funding from
us, right?
From taxpayers. It's more than you think because, and this is right from NPR's website, 5% of its budget comes from federal, state, and local governments. But wait. Now, then other public broadcasting entities, 11%, and colleges and universities, 13%. And colleges and universities receive a lot of taxpayer funding, state and federal. And so, money's fungible. So if you add it up.
Yeah, do the math.
Well, that's close to a third of NPR's funding from taxpayers. And then the story was last year they got $100,000 from the Plowshares Fund, which is a foundation operated by and funded by George Soros, left-wing billionaire. He's a billionaire the left likes because he funds their stuff. He's an okay billionaire, not a bad billionaire, because he funds their stuff.
Right. So
he got $100,000 to report on the Iranian nuclear deal and the administration's position on it, effectively. So Soros bought and paid for NPR coverage that he wanted to support the regime's position on providing a glide path for a nuclear Iran. And George Soros, oh, by the way, I mean, I know nobody would want to look into this, certainly not NPR, but George Soros has a lot of business interests in the Middle East, in the energy sector. He has business interests in Iran. He has business interests in third world countries, places like Azerbaijan that don't get a lot of coverage. But boy, if you peeled back the curtain in terms of all of George Soros's operations, say the way Peter Schweitzer peeled back the Clinton Foundation, I think you'd find some things that the left would have a difficult time defending. But we're talking about media here, and NPR, of course, said, well, that obviously didn't impact our coverage in any way, shape, or form. We did it straight left like we normally do. Well, that's not what they said. But they said it didn't impact our coverage. We presented both sides, presented both arguments. Well, that turns out not to be true. And someone who has specific knowledge of how untrue that is Congressman Mike Pompeo. He is a third-term congressman from Kansas. He is a graduate of West Point. He served our country honorably in the Army. He is a graduate from Harvard Law School. And now, and for the last several years, he's been a congressman from the 4th District of Kansas. He joins us now. Representative Pompeo, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you, Dan and Amy.
So on this NPR story, I guess it went like this, but you tell us. You said, well, they spiked an interview they were scheduled to do with me on this Iran deal. NPR said, no, they didn't. And then our NPR had to admit, well, yes, they did.
Well, so back in August when this horrible deal was being debated and sold to the American people deceptively by Ben Rhodes and President Obama and Secretary Kerry, I was in the car listening to NPR, something I don't do very often, frankly. But heard a number of stories, all of which were in one direction. I asked my team to reach out and see if we couldn't have the opportunity to present a different view to their listeners. Lo and behold, they said we could, and we got it set up. We found a time that worked for everyone, and then I can't recall if it was late the night before or early the next morning, they canceled the interview. I personally spent a great deal of time over the next 2 weeks trying to get back on, and to no avail. And as best we can tell, they didn't have other members of Congress. They had a number of members of Congress that came on and talked about what a great deal with the Ayatollahs had been made, but we weren't permitted to give their listeners, in spite of the fact that they receive a lot of money through taxes from those listeners, we weren't able to give the other side of that story.
Well, Congressman, what was the reason? Because when you call and cancel an interview, you normally follow up with a reason why they cancel it.
So what they put in writing was, we're just awful busy.
Yeah, it's tough.
Too busy to hear the other side.
Well, too busy to hear from somebody, a member of Congress. Yeah. We've got so many George Soros acolytes to interview, Congressman Pompeo. We're just not going to have enough time for you. Maybe if you change your view, they could make some time.
Well, it was very clear. I was probably one of the 3 or 4 most active folks in opposing this deal. I'd worked diligently at it. Ultimately, it was unsuccessful because of the communications deceptions that were put forward. But they had on Plowshares folks from Soros's group who have been long-time U.S. nuclear disarmament advocates. It was no surprise the views they got from them, and it would have been no surprise what I would have said, and it's just most unfortunate I didn't get a chance to share an alternative viewpoint with the American people.
Well, I mean, given this revelation, one of the critiques of Congress on the center-right side is a lot of talk, a lot of exposure of wrongdoing, and no accountability. So given this revelation about NPR. I mean, if George Soros wants to spend his billions funding NPR, great. That should mean that U.S. taxpayers don't have to anymore.
I have long thought that NPR was at a place in its life that it could survive on its own 2 feet and go raise money from the private sector, just like every other major media outlet in America does. I have voted at least twice to fund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Essentially, it's a parent organization, at least an organization that provides its primary funding source from the government. We ought to do that. I hope I can get more of my colleagues to do it. Certainly, this is more evidence that they are not presenting straight-up news.
Do you think there's ever a future where we won't be funding with our tax dollars NPR, or we won't be funding Planned Parenthood?
The American people are going to have to continue to demand it and hold everyone who tells them that they'll do those things and then comes to Washington and doesn't do them, hold us all accountable to that standard. It can be done. If the American people demand it, we can get to that place.
What about the historical fiction writer that is Obama's foreign policy guru, Mr. Rhodes, and the echo chamber that he created, as he was so nice to brag about in that New York Magazine profile piece on him? The echo chamber, of course, that included apparently NPR. But what about that? There's been some calls, they want him to come up and testify on the Hill. And, of course, the president has invoked executive privilege to prevent that. Is it important that he testify, or is it just important that the American people understand the lengths to which the regime went to I guess, recast the regime over there in Tehran?
I think both are important. I'd love to see him come testify. He talks to the media all the time. I can't figure out why he wouldn't want to come share his views. He seems very proud of the fact that he created this a machine for deception about the Iran deal. He ought to want to come brag about it. It is often the case. We've known for months and months and months that the administration lied about the fact that there were moderates in Iran. They lied about the fact that the regime was going to change its behavior and not engage in things like building their missile program. They're proud of this. They think this is their foreign policy legacy. I am always surprised when someone like Ben Rhodes, who appears to have an ego that could fill most buildings, won't come down and talk with Congress and tell us what a great thing it is that they've accomplished.
I'll tell you, maybe what he'll do, though, is he'll invite you and other members of Congress to his book release party. And that would be fun.
I just as NPR was busy when I wanted to speak to them, I'm pretty confident my schedule is booked that day as well.
Congressman, yesterday, the 78-page report issued by the State Department's Inspector General says Hillary Clinton, she didn't follow the department's email policies. How do you see this playing out?
And federal law.
And federal law, yes. And she didn't turn over the emails she had before leaving office.
Yeah. Shocked. The sad thing is there wasn't a whole lot of new news in that yesterday. It just now has come from a source that the left loves, right? The left loves inspectors generals, and they love the State Department. This is the Obama State Department that wrote this report. But what they said was things that confirm what so many of us already knew. Secretary Clinton's defense that everybody did this is untrue. Her defense that what she did was lawful is untrue. And her defense that she had a private server for her convenience isn't true. She had it because she wanted to keep personal information that she was sending across a government channel out of the government channel. She broke the law. We now have a left-wing State Department who has confirmed that, and I think the American people need to keep that fully in mind as they go to the polls in November.
Speaking of lying and Hillary Clinton catastrophes, let's combine the two. You are also a member of the House Select Committee, the House Select Benghazi Committee, and Trey Gowdy had said either earlier this week or last week that the final report would be forthcoming. Do you expect the American people to learn anything new that was not poured over during the Benghazi hearings, particularly with Hillary, when this final report is issued?
Most certainly. We're hoping to be done in just a handful of weeks. The American people, when they read this report, will see a really fact-based report, new facts that haven't been learned, a lot of information surrounding what happened that night, what our Department of Defense did and didn't do. I think the report will speak for itself about the events of that night and how it was the case that we had an ambassador killed for the first time in 30 years and 3 other Americans perished in Benghazi, Libya, in what even Dianne Feinstein describes as a preventable incident.
Will this absolve Hillary Clinton from any errors in judgment?
I'll let the American people see our report.
Can you give us a little hint?
Yeah. Come on, give us a tease,
Some email?
like 13 hours. Give us a little I understand. He is U.S. Congressman Mike Pompeo, representing the 4th District in Kansas. Representative Pompeo, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.
You too. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
And when that report's released, we're going to have the congressman back on. Back on your forecast. It's going to be hot and humid today, a high near 90 degrees. Ouch. But we love warm weather, right? And then tomorrow, periods of sun with a couple of showers, possible thunderstorm, and a high of 82. Let's get the latest on the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Traffic is heating up, too. Eastbound Eden Spur, stop and go Waukegan Road to the Edens, and it's just a little heavy approaching the junction. Outbound still clear. Kennedy, 23 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 24. Heavy Foster to Sayre. 190 on the westbound side, the ramp to southbound Manheim is finally reopened after a truck crash last night. The Eisenhower is heavy after an outbound crash near Des Plaines Avenue. 55 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 46. Stevenson, now an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. 50 minutes from the Tri-State, outbound still good. Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 35 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Division 4, 25. Eastbound Adams Tollway, stop and go, Bussy to the River Road Toll. Reagan Tollway, slow 83 to the Eisenhower. Eastbound 8094 on the ramp to southbound I-55. There's a crash, partially blocking that ramp. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
The Greater Chicago Jewish Festival is taking place on Sunday, June 5th at the Cook County Forest Preserve on Oakton, just west of Lehigh, featuring 3 stages of continuous music, an art fair. There's a kosher food fair as well. Everyone is welcome at the festival, and admission is a suggested $5 donation. For more information, visit jewishfestival.org. That's jewishfestival.org.
Mike Rowe here with a quick IAQ test for my buddy Bill.
Wait, I didn't study.
IAQ stands for Indoor Air Quality, something 1 hour excels at.
Well, I aced my SATs, so...
Yes or no? Do you breathe inside your home?
Yeah.
And what do you breathe?
Air.
And what's in that air?
Air?
Sorry, we were looking for dust mites, household pollutants, even formaldehyde.
Wait, I need to move.
Or you could call 1 hour and improve your IAQ.
That sounds smarter.
Let's see how you do with the disclaimer.
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Not bad.
We're so excited about our sold-out golf outing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club coming up on Thursday, June 16th to benefit Operation Support Our Troops America.
If you weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. You can still reserve a tee time at the Bolingbrook Golf Club anytime this spring or summer by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
And thanks to the sponsors who are making our golf outing possible.
Remax Professionals, Charity Golf International, Dr. Amy and Associates, MJ Miller and Company Jewelers in Barrington, Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, and Pearl Mortgage.
Hey, let's get sentimental. Think about how much your father means to you. Now ask, what am I getting Dad for Father's Day on June 19th? It's weird, but did you know that 82% of all people don't know that you're supposed to change pillows every 2 years or less? That's because pillows absorb dead skin, dirt, skin, oils, and dust mites that can cause allergies, acne, asthma, and who knows what else. So if you haven't already done so, you need a washable MyPillow, and so does your dad. I may buy one for my dog Hunter. With a 10-year warranty, it's a great gift and health investment as well. And you'll sleep better. I do. That's why MyPillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. Visit MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201. Use the promo code Joe for the 2-for-1 offer. Keep one for you. Do it now. 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Joe. 800-489-0201.
The ALS Association Greater Chicago Chapter is fighting ALS every day on every front. They're the preeminent leader in the fight against ALS in the state of Illinois and provide superior care services and resources to those living with ALS. The Greater Chicago Chapter funds the only 2 certified treatment centers of excellence at University of Chicago and University of Illinois. They're the leaders in funding national and international ALS research. Advocate tirelessly on Capitol Hill for those who have ALS and work closely with the Department of Defense, who provide funding for ALS research and ALS veteran care. Military personnel are 2 to 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with ALS than the general population. You can help the fight to stop ALS. Run their marathon, join one of their 3 walks, or play in their golf outing. Just call 312-932-0000. That's 312-932-0000 for more information about the ALS Association Greater Chicago Chapter.
AM 560, The Answer.
And we want to let you know that later we are going to talk about a Chicago icon who is hospitalized this morning. It's just a horrible story.
We're also going to talk about why Amy Jacobson uses the term icon to describe a homeless pickpocket. But we'll get to that. Katie Couric.
Yes, sir.
Is she back? She used to be a newsreader. Well, she's at Yahoo News, isn't she?
That's right. She never left.
Yeah, she is doing a documentary on gun violence.
Oh, no.
It's a documentary called Under the Gun.
Oh, I bet it's not biased at all.
It's a documentary that bills itself as examining the events and people who have kept the gun debate fierce and the progress slow.
Progress meaning eventually everyone's going to be disarmed?
The progress in banning guns, right. Even as gun deaths and mass shootings continue to increase. And now, of course, the only way Katie Couric can make an argument is if she silences opponents of her argument. And that's what she attempted to do here in this documentary, but she got caught thanks to the Free Beacon. FreeBeacon.com has the entire raw audio. It's funny, the left complains when audio isn't edited, like in the case of those Planned Parenthood videos, and says nothing when it so obviously is, as is what you're about to hear. So here's an exchange between Katie Couric and a group of Second Amendment proponents, gun owners, that she's speaking with in the edited version of the documentary, where she asks the question about background checks. And listen to how this is edited, and then we'll play the raw audio.
Let me ask you another question. If there are no background checks for gun purchasers, how do you prevent felons or terrorists from purchasing a gun?
She asked the stumper. So here, when she asked the question, and then the camera pans around the group, and they're all the people that she's speaking with are like looking down, and they're not responding because she asked such
busted.
Yeah,
I got you.
She blew that high fastball right by them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what really?
Except here's what actually happened.
Yeah, what really happened?
Here was the actual conversation, the raw audio and video of the documentary that was edited down to what you just heard. Now listen to this.
If there are no background checks, how do you prevent? I know how you all are going to answer this, but I'm asking anyway. If there are no background checks for gun purchasers, how do you prevent felons or terrorists from walking into, say, a licensed gun dealer and purchasing a gun?
Well, one, if you're not in jail, you should still have your basic rights, and you should go buy a gun.
So if you're a terrorist or a felon?
If you're a felon and you've done your time, you should have your rights.
Well, the fact is we do have statutes, both at the federal and state level, that prohibit classes of people from being in possession of firearms. If you're under 18 in Virginia, you can't walk around with a gun. If you're an illegal immigrant, if you're a convicted felon, if you've been adjudicated insane, these things are already illegal. So what we're really asking about is a question of prior restraint. How can we prevent future crime by identifying bad guys before they do anything bad? And the simple answer is you can't. And particularly under the legal system we have in the United States, there are a lot of Supreme Court opinions that say, no, prior restraint is something that the government does not have the authority to do.
So what actually happened is not silence, but
looking down.
Particularly the second guy gave Katie Couric a 1-minute tutorial on state, federal, and constitutional law as it relates to gun ownership. I mean,
and none of that made her peace.
It's just silence. I mean, it's so pathetic. This is why, you at the one hand, sometimes people say, well, yeah, I don't believe the media. I don't trust the media. I have a low opinion of the media. But then you read these salacious reports, particularly if it's somebody that you don't like, and you just take it as gospel because, well, they can't be lying. They can't just be making up things out of whole cloth. Yes, they can.
Yeah, they can.
They
and do you think
absolutely
it
can.
stopped with Brian Williams? Oh, no, it didn't stop with Brian Williams. I mean, he exaggerated different types of stories to boost up himself, but Katie Couric is just plain not journalism 101. Tell both sides of the story, and she's not doing it because it doesn't fit her narrative. The piece wouldn't air, Dan, if it was pro-gun at all.
So when if under the gun bubbles up to the surface anywhere, just remember what you heard here, so you can inform others what Katie Couric was doing, and that she's really the know-nothing in the piece, not those that she was interviewing about gun rights and, frankly, the laws related to gun ownership in this country. It's Katie Couric who should really be silent.
You lie! Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature is my savior. I love this stuff. I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff.
I tried the Fiber and Spice. I love it. I've been drinking it like every day, like one in the morning and in the afternoon and at night. And I feel like I'm losing weight because it keeps me full, and I'm not craving for anything not healthy.
It's time you had a Balance of Nature experience in your own life. Call now. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to author Sam Bowles. He's got an interesting book, The Moral Economy, Why Good Incentives, something economists often argue, we just need to present people with good incentives. Why good incentives are no substitute for good citizens. That's at 6:36.
And how you could help a Chicago icon who's been injured. There's a GoFundMe page. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
65, partly sunny. President Obama says world leaders, in his words, are rattled by Donald Trump and have good reason to feel that way.
They are paying very close attention to this election. I think it's fair to say that they are surprised by the Republican nominee. They are not sure how seriously to take some of his pronouncements, but they're rattled by him.
Meantime,
and for good reason.
Meantime, the president is also downplaying severe tension inside his own Democratic Party contest.
You start off and everybody's thinking, oh, this is fine. This is going to be a friendly competition. We're going to debate ideas. And somebody says one thing and then another person says another thing, and that felt a little sharper than I expected.
Speaking this morning at the G7 summit in Japan. Iraq's prime minister appealing to Iraqis to postpone Friday protests so security forces can focus on a key military operation aimed at retaking the city of Fallujah. For months, anti-government protesters, mainly influenced by Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, have been holding Friday protests outside Baghdad's Green Zone. No reports of injuries or fatalities, but a large and long-lasting tornado tore through northern Kansas last night. Verizon this morning claims striking workers are illegally harassing replacements. A Delaware judge could decide who's right in court today. A Massachusetts community pays its final respects to police officer Ronald Tarantino Jr., gunned down during a traffic stop on Sunday. A wake for the Auburn officer is set for today. A funeral mass will be held tomorrow. The head of the Chicago Public Schools says his district has reached the point of no return and faces severe cuts without what he calls equal funding from the state. CEO Forrest Claypool will rally in Springfield for more state funding later today. Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan's budget plan, introduced Wednesday, is drawing immediate fire from Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner and his fellow Republicans in the General Assembly. That budget plan was passed on a 63-53 vote, now heads to the Democrat-controlled Senate. Cubs beat St. Louis, Cleveland over the White Sox, and the news, a service of Burger King breakfast. Right now at Burger King, get an awesome deal on breakfast. 2 Croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4, piled high with thick-cut bacon or savory sausage, fluffy eggs, and melted cheese. 2 Croissant, $4, only at Burger King, limited time only. Price and participation vary. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity believes it's a good idea for Trump to hold on to his tax return.
It's going to look confusing, and it's going to be distorted and twisted by a media that's going to say, see, he didn't pay his fair share. He paid only 22% of his income in taxes because he used this loophole and that loophole. Well, that's the way you guys set it up. So I actually think Trump's smart not to release his taxes because there's no good that's going to come out of it.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Fact. College Illinois 529 prepaid tuition locks in tuition at today's plan rates to help you secure your child's future. Purchase a plan now and lock in your college costs before the May 31st enrollment deadline. Enroll now at collegeillinois.org.
Right now at Feldco, get 2 windows for the price of 1. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Here's some great news. Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates can help you with your retirement game plan. You know Jack, or you should. Jack is the president and founder of Tabota & Associates. He's been helping folks just like you retire successfully for 3 decades. Jack has the insight, information, strategies, and experience you can use to build wealth and keep it. Live good. Retire well with Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates. 630-777-7955. 630-777-7955.
6:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. The latest this morning with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike and Roselle. Northbound Gary is closed from Lake Street to Central due to flooding. Eastbound Eden Spur, stop and go Waukegan Road to the Edens. Then it's 22 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 35 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. The Eisenhower, 57 minutes Thorndale to the post office, outbound 46. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown, I-57, 35 minutes, I-80 to the Merrick, Bishop Ford, 25. North on Tri-State slow, 83rd to LaGrange Road, Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Traffic also a service of Burger King's breakfast right now at Burger King. Get an awesome deal on breakfast, 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. Piled high with thick-cut bacon or savory sausage, fluffy eggs, and melted cheese. 2 croissant for $4 only at Burger King. Limited time only, price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Very warm and humid today. Some thunderstorms rolling across central Illinois. Parts of those storms could hit the Chicagoland area later in the morning rush, high 86. Partly cloudy and mild, low 64 overnight. 68 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And Amy, as you know, because I often comment on this, what are you doing?
I'm stretching it
You're
out.
doing your Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, I'm doing my chair dancing, getting ready for the home and my Jell-O
And
apple slices.
And get ready to talk to an economist. And you should always
Yes.
stretch before you talk to an economist. So that's wise.
How'd you know?
But one of the things that I despise about our political discourse, perhaps the thing I despise most, and Republicans buy into this as well, this is the false premise of the left that Republicans buy into to their detriment, is the idea that we are just economic man and woman. We are one-dimensional people that are just interested in maximizing our income and reducing our marginal tax rate, and that's the only thing we live for, that we're not three-dimensional human beings. And that's why I was drawn to this recent offering from Samuel Bowles, who's a noted economist, right now a research professor at the Santa Fe Institute, where he heads the behavioral sciences program. And the book that he has written, The Moral Economy, Why Good Incentives are no substitute for good citizens. And the aforesaid Sam Bowles joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hi. Well, you mentioned the title of the book, The Moral Economy. Usually when I say that, people say that's one of these expressions like military intelligence. It just doesn't go together. But, you're absolutely right to be skeptical about this idea of so-called economic man as this calculating, self-interested guy. We are sometimes that way, but we've found out in a whole series of economic experiments, when people have real money on the table, they're really very fair-minded when they're dividing stuff up between them and even among strangers.
Well, I mean, it seems to me, and I haven't had a chance to read your book yet. I've just kind of read the write-ups, but it seems to me that you're going to the matter that people want to be part of things that are transcendental, that have psychic value to them too. So it might be a self-interested act, or properly termed a self-interested act, to be on the board of a charity, but I do that because I derive benefit from helping others in a particular space that I want to be engaged. So am I acting in a self-interested manner? Sure, but I'm acting in a self-interested manner that benefits others just as I am when I start a business and employ people.
That's exactly right. And I think a lot of businessmen already understand this, but sometimes, as you say, in public policy and the public sector, we get it wrong. For example, in Boston, the fire commissioner, you noticed people were calling in sick on Monday and Friday, so he threatened to fine the people who called in sick too many times. And what happened was, this was just before Christmas. On Christmas, they doubled the number of times they called in sick, and the same thing happened on New Year's. So the fine just backfired, and that's an example of what you said, because the firemen, as they said to reporters later, they were dedicated to the public. They came to work often when they were injured or sick, and they felt distrusted, and so they reacted to this fine just by saying, well, we're not going to come in because you're not recognizing that we have other reasons for being firemen than the money. We want to serve the public.
Well, so how do we expect people to respond to, say, monetary rewards or punishments and other incentives?
Well, you have to distinguish between the kinds of jobs, like being a fireman, in which there's, of course, a lot of dedication to it, and other kinds of jobs in which there's no real reason why a person would want to do that job except for the money. Mm-hmm. And I think economists have been right.
Like radio talk show.
That we definitely need incentives in some parts of our economy, but we have to be careful because the application of incentives for things like losing weight or reading a book or all the kinds of things that incentives are now applied for, it sometimes just doesn't work because it ignores the fact that people are fundamentally dedicated to being a good kind of a person. And if they're getting paid for it, they begin to doubt, I wonder why I'm doing this. Maybe it's for the money.
Well, this is where I'm a bit betwixt and between, because my Catholic faith tells me that people are sinners, people are inherently bad, but my free market sensibility says that people, as I said before, want to be part of things that are transcendental, want to try and do good, want to try and imbue their lives with meaning. And so I wonder how you see government institutions that try and encourage, at the point of a gun, encourage people to do things that we say are good things, how that actually works out in practice in terms of results.
Well, I think it's very hard for governments to essentially force people to do good when they don't feel like it. But I think it is possible to honor people when they do good. You can even give monetary rewards. If you call a payment a prize, instead of a bribe, it means the whole thing is entirely different. So I think that the history of governments trying to bring about better citizens through forced socialization and schooling, the kind of things that happened in the Soviet Union and in Germany under fascism, these are not only failures, it didn't work very well, but they're also deeply abhorrent to any freedom-loving person.
Do you go on.
Sorry?
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Continue.
Well, I mean, essentially what I hear you saying is what a society praises, it begets.
That's right. And if we say that we're all about making money, we tend to become that. And I think that, again, you mentioned our politics. It's a big mistake to think that elections are won and lost in the pocketbook. People are appealed to by their values, and we're seeing that in the electoral campaign now. Of course, there are competing values, but they're all about values, about what America is and ought to be. And we've had great presidents who've been great teachers. John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan. They told stories about who we are and who we could be. And I think there's a lot at stake in this election this year because that's what's being discussed. Who are we as a people, and who should we be?
Do you think Donald Trump has communicated that?
He certainly has. He's communicated one vision. I think the clearest alternative to the Trump vision is Bernie Sanders. They're really competing for the hearts and minds of the American people about who are we.
And so when we have a national debate over income inequality, it's not about Gini coefficients. It's not about how much CEOs make specifically. It's more a sense of, are we unfair in terms of who makes what and the difference between the two?
Couldn't be more right. That's exactly it. People don't care about inequality in itself. What they care about is unfairness. And they're willing to give up a lot of money themselves. If they spot some unfairness going on, they're willing to sacrifice a lot to put an end to it or to punish the person who's doing the unfairness. And this is true right across the spectrum politically. I mean, you'll see this, for example, in the economic experiments in rural Missouri. People are extremely committed to fairness. And they will, for example, reject an unfair offer by somebody else and get zero as a result. Go home with their pockets empty as long as they can make the other guy go home empty too.
And so, I mean, is your suggestion that we need to get back towards what Burke referred to as our platoons of democracy in terms of organizing a free society rather than layers and layers of government?
I don't think I think that the layers of government do a pretty bad job of this, but I don't think the problem is essentially the government here. The problem is essentially that we've bought into the idea that you can organize a society entirely around self-interest. There's never been such a society. There never could be. We cannot build a society on the basis of people who are just sociopaths. They just care about themselves. Burke understood that, and Adam Smith understood that. People have misunderstood these great conservative thinkers to be saying that self-interest is okay. Well, it is okay in some realms. It's okay when you're shopping, but it's not okay when you're doing a lot of other things. For example, voting, volunteering for military service, volunteering to help others, and so on.
All right. He is Samuel Bowes, economist and the author of the book, The Moral Economy, Why Good Incentives Are No Substitute for Good Citizens. Samuel, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
I enjoyed talking with you both.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A familiar sight to people who live and work downtown. The walking man has been beaten up, and there's a GoFundMe page. How much has been raised? Find out next. But first, here is your forecast. Very warm, hot and humid today. A high near 90 degrees, cooler near the lake. And then tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have some sun, but a couple of showers, a passing thunderstorm possibly. Warm and humid, a high of 82 degrees. Let's get the travel times on this hot and sticky day. Anything sticky on the roadways? Here's Jim Delamonte.
Yeah, no pre-holiday break, Amy. It's sticky on the Eden Spur first, Waukegan Road to the Edens. Then from Niles Center to the Junction, 30 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 35 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 40. The Eisenhower is now an hour from Thorndale to downtown. At 44 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 46 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. 50 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound now 50 to 3:55. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow in pockets between Harlem and 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway slow Roselle to 53 and really jam. Bussy to the River Road Toll. The Reagan Tollway has slow traffic. Farnsworth to Wheeler, and from Myers to the Eisenhower. Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Oh, it's so sticky.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Microsoft cuts more jobs in its troubled mobile unit. Wage protesters targeting McDonald's, and attendance grows at Florida's major theme parks. Those stories next.
Hey, Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or your 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. But with the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can see them anytime. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. You can trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993. Or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
Microsoft is cutting almost 2,000 more jobs as the company struggles in the smartphone market. Microsoft bought Nokia's phone business in 2014, but by last summer was slashing the value of the business and laying off thousands. McDonald's temporarily closing its Illinois headquarters as protesters targeted the company's annual meeting. Restaurant workers want to form a union, and they're pushing for $15 an hour minimum wage. Attendance up last year at Disney World, Universal Orlando, and SeaWorld. Disney's Magic Kingdom continues to be the top draw in the world and logged a 6% increase. But Universal Orlando saw the biggest gain. Attendance there up 16% last year. Please tune in to Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
The walking man story coming up next. He's not a criminal. He's not a criminal. Hey, parents, I know if you're like me, you are sick and tired of your kids spending time on their electronic devices, those iPhones, iPads. Just turn off the Xbox and check out Donley's Wild West Town. Yeah, it's a Western theme park just a short drive from Chicago. Wow, this is epic music in Union, Illinois. They're open this weekend from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days. One admission fee includes everything. It's really fun that everyone in the family can experience together. There's nothing else like it. Rides, attractions, panning for gold, shooting slingshots, a great Wild West show, a museum, a petting zoo, great food. There's a restaurant on the property and so much more. Parents, grandparents, kids, everyone will enjoy a day together at Donley's Wild West Town. It's interactive family fun. So check out all the details at wildwesttown.com. That's wildwesttown.com. And you can also set up group outings for your church group, summer camp, or daycare. Donley's Wild West Town open this weekend from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Donley's Wild West Town. It's good old-fashioned family fun. Yeehaw!
Great talent is the driving force behind your successful business. If you don't have the right people in key roles, then you have talent gaps. IMC Solutions identifies those gaps and delivers expertise in recruiting the right talent to fill them, leaving you free to succeed.
Hi, I'm Linda Nichols, founder of IMC Solutions. We're a niche recruiting and staffing firm that specializes in placing human resources and sales professionals. We've created programs that are just right for your small to medium-sized business because we know that you're looking for expertise, but are also looking at the bottom line expenses to your company. You can take advantage of recruiting services that big companies get, but you don't have to pay the big fees. Our programs and solutions are affordable and bring you the people you need.
IMC Solutions understands the unique challenges of your business, making the tough job of hiring easy. Get started on finding your next hire today at imcsolutions.com or call Linda Nichols at 630-637-6200.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, we have to have a moment of silence for the walking man. He was brutally beaten on Lower Wacker 11 o'clock yesterday afternoon. About a 41-year-old man beat him up with a baseball bat, and he's currently at Northwestern Memorial Hospital.
He's probably trying to
recovering.
He was probably trying to pick that guy's pocket. I know the guy you're talking about. I see him walking around the loop all the time.
Yeah.
And he's a pickpocket.
No, he is not.
He is a pickpocket. Chicago icon.
He is a Chicago icon, because any of us who live or work downtown, you see him. He's the walking man. He's been walking around for 40 years.
Do you know what his criminal record is?
Well, I'm trying to find his criminal record because I can't see one.
Yeah, well.
His name is James Kermalis, and he, again, 69 years old. Everybody always wondered, is he a wealthy man? Is he a vagabond who just owns fancy blazers? Because he changes up his blazers with
They're not fancy.
Oh, his blazers, I think, are very fancy. It matches his hair. And if any of you haven't seen him...
they are fancy, he stole them.
Well, stop it.
He's a pickpocket.
No, he is not a pickpocket.
He is a pickpocket. He's a criminal.
He adds character to the city of Chicago, because you know the high guy?
No, sure.
You have to wave, like, what's next? Is somebody's going to attack the high guy? Or, Scary Mary, the aggressive panhandler?
No, I don't know her.
You don't know her?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I do. I don't know. But the walking man, and I was walking.
And I walked.
He is a pickpocket. I'm telling you.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so listen, they already started a GoFundMe page for him. His nephew did.
Here we go.
Guess how much money raised? $9,528.
Good. Maybe he can stop stealing. Dan on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Dan, confirm what I'm saying is true.
You're not going to put me through?
Yeah,
no,
Dan, you're on. Confirm what I'm saying is true.
Dan, this is many years ago under South Water Street and Michigan Avenue. He used to come by. He's not a pickpocket. He's a con man. He sells mismatched coins in packages at higher values, and he convinces you that they're worth. I mean, like nickels and dimes, silver dimes, and that. I gave him $30 one time, and it turned out none of them were excellent. If you don't have a proper eye on coins, you don't know if a good-looking coin. You don't know it's not excellent.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be buying coins on the street.
Well, he's got a peddler's license, and he sells jewelry on the street and coins, so he legally can do so. But he lived in an SRO.
Not if it's fraudulent. Thanks for the call, Dan.
And he lived in an SRO for about 30 years, and they turned that building into a condo. So now he's just kind of still walking the streets, but he's not a pickpocket.
He's not walking anymore.
No, walking man down.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
Even to a guy like me, that's cold. Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low, and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, SAUL.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
Hey, size matters. Look to the Italians. They made it happen. The Colosseum, the Vatican, the Tower of Pisa, and Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli Sandwiches. Yeah! Their signature subs are as big as your forearm, hefty and fully loaded with the highest quality deli meats on artisan bread. Their homemade Italian beef sandwiches are sliced paper thin, using their own family recipe. And if you can't choose between the burgers, wraps, or hand-rolled meatball sandwiches, then get them all. Feed your inner rock star. Eat amongst authentic rock and roll memorabilia while you enjoy the soundtrack of your glory days. Or pick up and go. Either way, Augie's offers fast, fresh, and affordable food, even gluten-free options. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, Carroll Stream or West Chicago. Be sure to visit augustinos.com for full menus and directions. And if the party's on at your house, look to Augie's for catering. Don't make it happen with Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli.
Ah, Chicago. There's so much to do and enjoy. But when was the last time you explored the city? It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind of commuting and working, but not experiencing everything that Chicago has to offer. It's time to take a new adventure this summer. And it starts with the Hyatt Centric, the Loop Chicago in the heart of the city. The Hyatt Centric is an exclusive, one-of-a-kind property set in historic 1920s-era Art Deco decor. You'll enjoy bright, spacious rooms, innovative, upscale French cuisine, panoramic rooftop dining, all just minutes from Millennium Park and the Mag Mile. Create your adventure during the Hyatt Centric Summer Promotion, featuring special rates for your weekend getaway. Now through May 31st, your Thursday through Sunday reservation receives up to a 15% room rate discount. That's 15% on the weekends. Reserve today at theloopchicago.centric.hyatt.com. theloopchicago.centric.hyatt.com. Rooms are fully prepaid and non-refundable at the time of booking, based on availability.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Will Hillary be in cuffs before the convention? We'll ask Byron York from the Washington Examiner at 7:07.
But first, we go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, the cleanup continues. Several Chicagoland areas damaged by storms from yesterday afternoon. Chicago aldermen debate a ride-sharing ordinance. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. As Bernie Sanders keeps up his uphill battle against Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination, President Obama says
there's not that big a difference ideologically in terms of the issues.
He still won't endorse either one, but is taking more shots at Republican Donald Trump. From Japan, Fox's Alistair Wanklin is there live in Issei.
Dave, the president saying some world leaders are, quote, rattled by Donald Trump for some of the things he's saying.
A lot of the proposals that he's made display either ignorance of world affairs or a cavalier attitude.
The president speaking here at a G7 summit, he brushed off the attacks between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, saying everyone gets a little grumpy in primaries. He said on policies, the rivals have similar outlooks, Dave.
Alistair, no comment yet from Donald Trump in response. Parts of Kansas torn up by a tornado that was on the ground for more than an hour. It hit a rural area and about 25 homes were damaged or destroyed.
Some of these things really just unrecognizable. We've been driving around throughout the morning, kind of doing somewhat of a damage survey. Cars that appeared to be destroyed, power lines on the ground, trees down as well, and many roads that continue to be blocked.
Fox's Maria Molina near Abilene, Kansas. More severe weather could hit today. Police keep searching New York City for the gunman who opened fire backstage at a T.I. concert last night, leading to chaos in the theater before the rapper ever even got to perform. One person was killed, 3 were injured. 11 states taking the Obama administration to court over the directive that schools should let transgendered students use whatever bathroom they choose or perhaps lose federal funding.
Those fights ought to be fought out in Congress, not by one person in the White House.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, leading the fight.
This opens the door for all kinds of issues with men deciding one day that they want to be women and then switching back the next day.
Will you travel Memorial Day weekend? AAA projects some 38 million Americans will, the most since 2005. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Partly sunny skies, 65 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The head of the Chicago Public Schools heading to Springfield today. He says the district has reached the point of no return and faces severe cuts without what he calls equal funding from the state. School CEO Forrest Claypool says the district faces a $1 billion deficit next school year. Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan's budget plan introduced Wednesday is drawing immediate fire from Governor Bruce Rauner and fellow Republicans in the General Assembly. We get reaction to the budget from AM 560's David Stewart.
Madigan's partial spending plan would maintain funding levels for functions not covered by court orders and consent decrees and would add $500 million to school funding, including pension help for Chicago. A Rauner aide called it the phoniest of the phony budgets, $7 billion out of balance. State Rep. Ron Sandak said Madigan's ignoring the work of the bipartisan budget negotiators.
I can tell you he wasn't there, and I can tell you he's categorically misinformed. In each instance, they've been productive, and in each instance, they've been persuasive.
Madigan's move, though, puts Rauner in the position of having to veto money for schools, the poor, and the elderly. David Stewart, Chicago.
Protests have begun ahead of McDonald's annual shareholders meeting. Protests began Wednesday with a strike at the Rock and Roll McDonald's in downtown Chicago. The shareholders meeting is at the suburban headquarters for McDonald's in Oak Brook. Chicago officials are considering an ordinance that would place stricter regulations on ride-sharing companies. Aldermen discussing the legislation yesterday that would require rideshare drivers to get a chauffeur's license and additional training. does not have the support of Alderman Joe Moore.
I think this is nothing more than an attempt to stifle competition.
Uber and Lyft are threatening to leave the city if it is passed. Cubs beat St. Louis 9-8, backing Jake Arrieta to the win. Cleveland over the White Sox 4-3. And the news, a service of Napa Auto Parts, more than 400,000 quality parts and over 90 years of experience. Napa can help you keep just about anything on the road, so stop by your local Napa Auto Parts store and keep it running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
So Trump says Hillary is playing the gender card. Hillary thinks Trump is abusive to women. Hillary gets her personal newspaper, the New York Times, to write a 9-page story about it. Trump thinks Hillary's hubby was the abuser-in-chief and claims Hillary turned on the victims. Earth to candidates. We don't care. We do care about defending this country against terrorism, rebuilding the military, controlling the border, and creating good jobs. Let's talk about that. Give us a plan. That might get you elected. Stick around for more good ideas. AM 560. The Answer.
CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today, CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
People all across the country are enjoying the flexibility of working when they want, earning extra money on their schedule when they drive with Uber.
With Uber, you can write your own paycheck. You sign up, you get approved, and you start earning money right away. Right away, like the next day. Turn it on when you want to make money, you turn it off when you don't. It's just that simple. What are you waiting for?
Enjoy the flexibility of working when you want, earning extra money on your schedule. Sign up to Drive with Uber today. Go to drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate adventure. Enjoy summertime fun on a Can-Am ATV, side-by-side, Can-Am Spyder, or Sea-Doo watercraft. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,500 on select 2015 models. Plus, get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now. Visit Nielsen Enterprises in Lake Villa. Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. For safety and training info, contact the ATV Safety Institute.
7:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. We see delays on the eastbound Eden Spur from Waukegan Road to the Edens. Then it's 35 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 28. The Kennedy. Now 45 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 21 from Montrose. 15 of the Express. Outbound 40 to the airport. The Eisenhower is an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. An hour 10 from Manheim. Outbound 46 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 50 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 30 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Mission 425. Northbound Tri-State, slow Harlem to LaGrange Road, Plainfield Road to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, eastbound Adams Tollway heavy, Roselle to 53, and Toohey to Lee, Reagan Tollway Farnsworth to Wiola, and it's Stop and Go Myers to the Eisenhower. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Humid with clouds and sun today with a high 85, then a mostly cloudy night, low 67. Clouds and sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow. Still humid with a high 82 and a mostly cloudy night, low 66. A shower or a thunderstorm Saturday, high of 80. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
68 at O'Hare, 68 along Chicago's lakefront. Next news is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by MJ Miller & Company Jewelers. All that glitters is gold at MJ Miller in downtown Barrington.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Crooked Hillary. She's as crooked as they come. She had a little bad news today, as you know, from some reports came down weren't so good.
While people were aware of her use of personal email, no one had a full and complete understanding of to the extent.
It doesn't change the fact that I never sent or received any material marked classified.
Are you prepared to debate the major issues facing our largest state and the country before the California primary? Yes or no? He wants to know if you will debate
Yes,
now.
I am. How much is he going to pay me?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, the State Department Inspector General said some real problems with how Hillary handled her email during her time as Secretary of State. The report that was issued yesterday concluded that Clinton violated the State Department's email rules when she chose to exclusively, and that's an important word, exclusively use a private email server during her 4 years at State Department, and also did not promptly turn over records after she departed from state. Difficult for the left to make out the case that this is the State Department IG is just another member of the vast right-wing conspiracy.
It's a left-wing Democratic organization.
Well, it certainly
right
is
now.
under this regime.
Yes.
And the other thing that's interesting, too, is that Hillary has yet to be interviewed by the FBI over this matter, or other parts of their investigation, which may include the Clinton Foundation and the intersection between the foundation and the State Department. It's very interesting that she hasn't been interviewed, because often, if you're the target of a prosecution or forthcoming prosecution, you're not going to be interviewed. You're just going to be prosecuted. Or is that just so much wishful thinking on my part? To answer that question, we're now joined by our friend Byron York, chief political columnist for the Washington Examiner. Byron, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hi, folks. Good to be here.
So how important was that Inspector General report that was issued yesterday?
Well, I think it was a pretty big deal. It basically undercut many, many things Mrs. Clinton has said about her email system, the biggest one being that it was approved by the State Department. It was all fine, no problem. Well, it wasn't anywhere close to approved by the State Department. It was specifically disapproved by the State Department. And when people raised questions about it, the answer they got from the Secretary's office was, stop talking about this.
Do you think the FBI and the State Department is worried that her rule bending put some government secrets on the line?
Well, they were clearly worried, but the State Department was clearly worried about the possibility of hacking or other security lapses. And there were attempts to get her to use a State Department system for some of her emails, at least, so it could be secure. And the answer was no. And Huma Abedin wrote her a memo saying, could you maybe do some of this? And she said, I don't want any chance of the personal being, exposed. So she clearly had this idea that she would use her email for however she wanted to use it, and that she would decide whether anybody else could see it. And we do know that her own system administrator of her private secret system, worried about being hacked on a couple of occasions, actually said he had shut down the system because he thought there was an attack going on. So it was security was a concern from day one with this thing.
And doesn't this also undercut her intransigence? Her intransigence about this undercuts the idea that, the private server, so that didn't have to confuse the State Department with emails about my daughter's wedding plans.
Absolutely.
And
The whole idea.
Yeah.
The whole idea that she gave that this was sort of convenience, and she just wanted to have one device. She didn't want to have the BlackBerry for this, the other BlackBerry for that. It was a desire to create and preserve secrecy from the very beginning. So this whole convenience stuff. Remember that press conference she had a long time ago at the UN, where she basically said, "Well, I'm I'm not that tech savvy. I didn't want to have to operate two different devices, so I just did this for convenience. Well, that wasn't it at all.
And just on this matter of the FBI not interviewing her yet, do you read anything into that?
No, I don't know. I just don't. You can't speculate about what the Justice Department, what the FBI is doing. We do know in the State Department report that she didn't talk to them, and other staff declined to talk to them. And Mrs. Clinton has said all along that she was fully cooperating, and she'd be happy to talk to whoever had questions about this. So that was not true either.
And Cheryl Mills, who's testifying tomorrow, does not want her deposition to be made public.
Well, there's a couple of different things here. There are congressional investigations. There was this internal State Department, and then there's what's going on with the Justice Department. And the State Department investigation, now that we have it, the report, is very important, I believe, to show that Mrs. Clinton was not telling the truth about this from the very beginning. It's unclear what Capitol Hill is going to come up with, but of course the huge thing that could affect the election, that will affect the election one way or the other, is what the Justice Department is doing.
So Clinton, she's an expert at handling heat. How do you think she'll respond to this new report?
Well, they've done it pretty badly so far. I watched Brian Fallon, who's her campaign spokesman, on Special Report on Fox last night, and he clearly had an answer to everything that wasn't very satisfactory. I mean, they're just continuing to claim that they followed the rules and that everything they did was allowed and okay. And you read them, the section of the report that said this was absolutely not approved, and there were high-level concerns about this and attempts to get the secretary to not do it, and they just repeat the answer that everything was approved and carefully done, and there's nothing wrong.
Does all of this swirling around Hillary Clinton, does it make it important for her to change the narrative, to do something significant to change the narrative? Donald Trump released his potential list of Supreme Court nominees to try and quell some of the never-Trumpers on the conservative side of the aisle. And I wonder if maybe Hillary Clinton needs to start thinking about a running mate and maybe a running mate of the left to change the narrative on her side.
Well, I think it appears that they just decided to tough it out on this State Department report. Obviously, the Justice Department thing will be much, much bigger. And if the Justice Department simply decides not to indict anybody, they will claim that as complete vindication.
But it couldn't be vindication if the FBI referred her for charges.
No, it couldn't be. But that will have to leak. I mean, the FBI is not going to hold a press conference and say we have referred her to charges. And the Justice Department, those guys won't do it. It'll leak, I feel certain, if that happens. But I think that she's actually decided to just tough it out right now because she still has this Bernie Sanders problem. And she is incredibly lucky that Bernie Sanders said in their very first debate that he was tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Yeah, but he would want to take that
stuck
back.
With that.
So don't you think at the very least, though, she should have surrendered the emails which dealt with government affairs? I mean, because she looks real guilty. She looks like she got caught with her hands in the cookie jar.
Well, she did. And she just didn't tell the truth about this. And she's made several, she's been under pressure at various times in this to speak out in the press, which she has done. And she hadn't told the truth about it. So now she's on the record saying all sorts of things about how this was approved by the Justice Department within the rules and all this stuff, when we now know that it was just absolutely not true and that she knew it at the time.
Going back to Hillary and the possibility of a running mate, what's your handicapping of which direction she is going to go in terms of rounding out her ticket if she is able to survive all of this?
Well, there's a lot of speculations about various people that she could pick. We've heard about the Castro brothers. We've heard about Tim Kaine. We've heard a number of other names, maybe Cory Booker. We've heard a bunch of other names, and nobody has actually emerged as a leading candidate. I think in the Trump case, Trump himself has not really mentioned any names, but I think Trump being Trump, there's a sense of showmanship around this, and they kind of like having this name being discussed today and this other name being discussed tomorrow. He's going to keep this show going all the way to the convention. Hillary Clinton has not really done that yet, in part because she still hasn't dispatched Bernie Sanders. The Trump VP talk came after May 3rd when Ted Cruz pulled out, and it looks like Bernie Sanders is going to stay in all the way with Hillary Clinton, so the VP talk is not going to get really going 100% until she can get Bernie out of the race.
Is Debbie Wasserman Schultz going to survive, or is she going to be sacrificed on the pyre of Bernie Sanders to quell to quell the antagonism that Bernie Sanders supporters have for DWS?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of it is justified. I mean, the system is kind of rigged, and the presence of superdelegates is kind of being rigged right out in the open. And I think there's no doubt that Debbie Wasserman Schultz has kind of put her thumb on the scale for the Hillary Clinton campaign from the very beginning. Hillary Clinton, for example, wanted the debates to sort of be hidden. Most you would think a political party would want the most people to watch a debate. They wanted the least possible people to watch the debates, and thus we saw them, buried at Saturday night on holiday weekends and all sorts of things like that. So there's no doubt that she has not been fair to the Bernie people, and that the Bernie campaign has lasted far longer and shown much more life and vigor than she could have assumed. So,
and they're going to get a lot of attention when Bernie Sanders debates Donald Trump, because Donald Trump agreed to a debate last night. So that'll be must-watch TV. That's going to be high ratings.
I saw him on. Well, there's that Trump showmanship again.
Yeah, that'll be on Nickelodeon. Byron York, chief political columnist for the Washington Examiner. Byron, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey DAP Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Story follow-up about Milo's visit to DePaul and how the president compared the students who protested him to D-Day survivors. Yeah. Today, your forecast, warm, hot, and humid, a high of 86 degrees. And then tomorrow, we're going to have some sun, some clouds, and some showers and thunderstorms passing through here, a high of 82. Anything dramatic on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Another rough morning, Amy. Eastbound I-80, stop and go Wolf to 183rd with a crash in the two left lanes. Eden's 35 minutes either way between Lake Hook and Montrose. The Kennedy, 45 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 40. And there's the Eisenhower, an hour and 20-minute drive from Thorndale to downtown, outbound 56 minutes. The Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 50 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes, 95 to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, slow Harlem to LaGrange Road, then Plainfield Road to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, Reagan Tollway, slow Farnsworth to Eola, 53 to 355. That's jammed from Myers to the Eisenhower. Jim Talamonte and the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Spring is here, and with that comes spring cleaning. Register to win a 3-room carpet cleaning, courtesy of our good friends over at Executive Green, through the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Visit executivegreencarpetcleaning.com and learn more about their cleaning services, which include carpets, rugs, upholstery, tile, and grout. Everything you need to freshen up your house for spring.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Bev was self-employed when she called me to refinance last year, but I couldn't help her because she didn't make any money. Bev shut down her business, secured a salary job, and called to pay off over 50 G's of credit card debt she accumulated keeping her business afloat. I helped Bev refinance to pay off all her debt and reduced her payments over $2,000 a month. A lot of listeners think you have to wait 6 months after securing a job to get a mortgage. Wrong! If you're now receiving a salary after being self-employed and would like to pay off debt to lower your monthly payments like Bev did, give me a call at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
Hi, I'm Dr. Howard. In my travels, I occasionally hear a Balance of Nature ad on the radio. These products are the culmination of my life's work, and I'm often surprised at my emotions that arise when people talk about how they have improved the quality of their life.
My knees don't hurt no more. Usually, when I walked up the stairs, my kneecaps used to crack and cringle. They don't do that anymore.
I just think it's wonderful. I did not come up with allergies this spring so far, and it's already almost the middle of May, so I think that's good.
These people are real. I'd like to thank the Balance of Nature customers for trusting me and for allowing me to help them in their pursuit of health.
Call now. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
If you have termites invading your home, there's just one thing you want. You want them gone before they start causing thousands of dollars in damage. That's why you want to call Terminix, because Terminix is your most effective solution for termite protection. Call now and we'll give you a free termite inspection. 1-800-300-9035. Terminix is the nation's leading provider of termite and pest control services, backed by more than 85 years' experience. We'll stop those damaging invaders in their tracks. We can also defend your home against future invasions and the damage they may cause with our ultimate protection guarantee. If they come back, so will we. Defend your home now, before termites start causing expensive damage, with the effective choice in termite protection. It's your home, not theirs. Call Terminix today for a free termite inspection. 1-800-300-9035. That's 1-800-300-9035.
Ultimate protection guarantee not available on every plan. Limitations apply. Call for details.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. All right, get ready for this. We had Milo Yiannopoulos, who's Breitbart's tech editor, on the show yesterday on Tuesday night. He was invited to give a speech by DePaul College Republicans on the campus of DePaul, and a bunch of students during his speech stormed the stage, interrupted his speech, ultimately shut down the speech.
Well, one person tried to punch him.
Threatened him
to.
And this is why for the first time he's done. When we talked to him yesterday, he's done 30 speeches on college campuses, and he's often been the subject of protests or students who disagree with him from the left. Never before has he agreed to shut down an event. That's how bad it was at DePaul on Tuesday night. Well, oh boy. Father Jenkins at Notre Dame is a disgrace to Notre Dame and to the Catholic Church and to the Catholic faith, as has Notre Dame. Notre Dame's become the same. One of those institutions that is for Catholics who hate Catholicism. Well, he is being rivaled by DePaul president, Father Dennis Holzschneider, who offered this letter from France in which he said, among other things, Mr. Yiannopoulos and I share very few opinions. He argues there's no wage gap for women, a difficult position to maintain in light of government data. Okay. As a gay man, he has claimed that sexual preference is entirely a choice, something few, if any, LGBTQ individuals would claim as their own experience. This is a Catholic priest writing this.
Okay.
He claims that white men have fewer privileges than women or people of color whom he believes are unfairly privileged in modern society, a statement that is immediately suspect when white men continue to occupy the vast majority of top positions in nearly every major industry.
Repent for your privilege.
This is the social justice sickness in the Catholic Church, as exhibited by John Jenkins at Notre Dame, Dennis Holzschneider at DePaul. Generally, I do not respond to speakers of Mr. Yiannopoulos' ilk. Father Holzschneider continued, as I believe they are more entertainers and self-serving provocateurs than the public intellectuals they purport to be. The unworthy of university discourse is how he described Yiannopoulos. He went on to say that Yiannopoulos was invited to speak at DePaul. Those who interrupted the speech were wrong to do so. Universities welcome speakers, give their ideas a respectful hearing, then respond with additional speech countering ideas. Yeah, which runs counter kind of to what he was indicating earlier in his letter, but nevertheless, he made a paean to academic freedom. Then he said this.
And this is your point of contention, right?
Everything he just said is my point of contention, except for the academic freedom, which I don't believe he actually believes. But he's writing from France, remember. He's on a mission introducing some of the trustees to the life and legacy of St. Vincent de Paul. And so they're doing some sightseeing, including Normandy.
Okay.
I'm quoting from his letter. Here in Normandy, I expected to be moved by the generosity of those who gave their lives on the beaches early on June 6, 1944. I did not expect, however, to be shocked when I realized that most of the soldiers were the same ages as our students today. I realized that many of yesterday's protesters hold similar noble goals for a more inclusive world for those traditionally held aside by our society. The men who liberated Europe from Nazism and the protesters, if you want to call them that, the leftist bedwetters on the campus of DePaul who shut down Milo Yiannopoulos from giving his speech on free speech, ironically, they come from the same place. The soldiers at Normandy and those leftist bedwetters at DePaul are of the same kind, says DePaul president, Father Dennis Holzschneider. Disgrace to the Catholic Church, disgrace to the Catholic faith, disgrace to institutions of higher learning, just a disgrace. Father Dennis Holzschneider, an absolute, unmitigated disgrace.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, let's get sentimental. Think about how much your father means to you. Now ask, what am I getting Dad for Father's Day on June 19th? It's weird, but did you know that 82% of all people don't know that you're supposed to change pillows every 2 years or less? That's because pillows absorb dead skin, dirt, skin, oils, and dust mites that can cause allergies, acne, asthma, and who knows what else. So if you haven't already done so, you need a washable MyPillow, and so does your dad. I may buy one for my dog Hunter. With a 10-year warranty, it's a great gift and health investment as well. And you'll sleep better. I do. That's why MyPillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. Visit MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201. Use the promo code Joe for the 2-for-1 offer. Keep one for you. Do it now. 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Joe. 800-489-0201.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
How'd you like a $7.5 billion tax increase? Mike Madigan thinks you'd like it just fine. We'll speak with Senate Republican leader Christine Radogno about the phony baloney budget Madigan pushed through the House yesterday at 7:37.
And later, would you watch a Trump-Bernie Sanders debate? It's in the making. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have partly sunny skies in Chicago. 65 degrees. A large tornado in rural northern Kansas damaged or destroyed as many as 25 homes, staying on the ground for about an hour and a half. Election officials in Kentucky this morning say they will re-examine vote totals from the Democratic presidential primary at the request of the Bernie Sanders campaign. At stake is one delegate in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. Donald Trump has entered a new phase in his campaign, fundraising. The Republican presidential candidate held a $25,000 per ticket dinner last night in L.A., the reception at the home of a Trump donor and friend, fellow real estate investor Tom Barrack. A helicopter has retrieved the body of a Dutch climber who died last week on Mount Everest. Attempts are still being made to retrieve bodies of two other climbers who died, one from Australia, one from India. Crews cleaning up damage in the area left over by storms that slammed Chicago yesterday afternoon and evening. Yesterday's showers caused flooding in parts of the city and suburbs. The Democratic-led Illinois House rammed through a budget for next year in defiance of Republican Governor Bruce Rauner's wish for pro-business legislation and ongoing budget talks. Democrats stopped debate on a budget plan yesterday and voted 63 to 53 to pass it and hand it off to the Democrat-controlled Senate. Protests have begun ahead of the McDonald's annual shareholder meetings in suburban Oak Brook. And Amazon says they are bringing more jobs to Joliet. The online retail giant says it plans to open a second warehouse in the city. The facility expected to employ over 2,000 full-time workers. Cubs beat St. Louis 9-8, while Cleveland topped the White Sox 4-3. The news service of Napa Auto Parts, with more than 400,000 quality parts and over 90 years of experience. Napa can help you keep just about anything on the road. So stop by your local Napa Auto Parts store and keep it running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
A court ruled that a Catholic school could not hire a gay person.
The Joe Walsh Show.
If you've gotten to a place in this country where the government can tell a church who to hire and who not to hire, you're in a bad place. We're totally upside down.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you not understand that?
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
Right now at Feldco, get 2 windows for the price of 1. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Tea times, golf outings, driving range, golf academy, brunch, dinner, weddings, banquets, receptions. Find and do it all at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Info online at BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
Not available in all states. Whoa, what do you have there?
It's a Reese and Irvy's frozen yogurt. We just had our robot make one.
A robot made your frozen yogurt?
Yes, the world's first fully interactive robot vending machine that serves 9 flavors of delicious yogurt with 6 amazing toppings. And it's available for an exclusive franchise opportunity.
How do I get my own Reese and Irvy's robots?
It's easy, but you better act now. Locations and machines are going fast. Just go to froyofranchising.com. That's froyofranchising.com. Check it out now, froyofranchising.com.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
7:37 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The eastbound Eden Spur has delays while Keegan Road to the Edens. Then it's 30 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose up on 35. The Kennedy, 45 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Crash at Cicero in the right lane. Outbound, it's an hour to Thorndale now. Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 50 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State, southbound heavy, 21 to 176. Northbound, it's jammed, 111th to 31st. And from Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Traffic service of Burger King's breakfast. Right now at Burger King, get an awesome deal on breakfast. 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. Piled high with thick-cut bacon or savory sausage. Fluffy eggs and melted cheese. That's 2 croissant for $4. Only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Warm and humid today. Clouds and sunshine. Had some storms pop up in central Illinois. They're headed for the northern part of the state, perhaps the Chicago area, 86 for a high. Partly cloudy and mild. Low 64 overnight. 68 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront. Next news at 8 with Chicago's Morning Answer. Next with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals. Get more money for your home by listing with a real marketing expert.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, yesterday, Democrats passed Mike Madigan's unconstitutionally unbalanced budget so they could find out what's in it. $7 billion, $7.5 billion, really. I mean, what's $500 million between friends in Illinois? $7.5 billion out of balance, rammed through the House yesterday, just within, an hour of legislators actually being delivered the 500-page fairy tale that Mike Madigan spun.
Nobody can go through 500 pages in a few hours. It's such a joke.
Here's the good news. Nobody wants to.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't need to because they're just waiting to be told what to do, and that's what that's what all the Democratic caucus did. Passed 63-53. 6 Democrats voted against it. 1 Democrat voted present, but they were told to do that too.
So they just do. So Mike Madigan will go up to certain Democrats that he wants them to keep their districts if they're in contested races and say, "Hey, listen, sit this one out, vote against it."
He doesn't do that. He has flunkies for that.
But he has people who do.
You just say, you, Kate Clunan and Kankakee Bourbonnais, you can vote no, and other Target reps, Mike Smitty and the Quad Cities, you can vote present. That's fine. You just continue playing, games on your iPad.
Target reps.
Yeah, that's no problem. Those seats, because he's fine to give them cover. He's got all the votes he needs, thanks to the voters who continue to return supermajorities of Democrats to the General Assembly, and now are faced with the prospect of a budget that's $7.5 billion out of balance. That I think the governor's office estimated would require the state income tax rate to go up by almost 50% to 5.5% in order to make up that gap, at least partially. In addition to that, Comptroller Munger predicts state unpaid bills would go up to $15 billion if we abided the budget that was passed by Democrats, which Governor Rauner, in his wisdom, has already suggested he is going to veto because he actually thinks that the constitutional requirement to pass a balanced budget is something that should be abided by a governor and the General Assembly. Well, for more on this, we're now joined by State Senator Christine Radogno. She is the Senate Republican leader. Senator Radogno, thanks for joining us.
Well, good morning. Glad to be with you.
And so your reaction to the budget that was crafted and dropped like a lead balloon on the House by Mike Madigan yesterday?
Well, I mean, it's more of the outrageous antics that we've seen over the last decade. It's just unbelievable. People barely responded because the outrage has been so consistent over 10 years. This is what he does. You pointed out just a moment ago, people continue to send those same flunkies back to do his bidding. So every single Democrat that voted for this thing or that will vote for it in the Senate, they wear the collar for sending this tax bill to the people of Illinois.
How is this ever going to stop? I mean, how in the world can we get Mike Madigan out of Springfield?
Well, or even out of leadership. I mean, he continues to be elected. I mean, it's easy to get elected in a small district. He'll get elected there, but the folks in his caucus continue to elect him. But then they go home to their districts, and the same in the Senate. They do what they're told here in Springfield, but they go home to their districts and they're like, "Oh, I really wasn't for that. I'm really conservative. I don't think we should raise taxes. I think we should be business friendly." And people send them back. And
Right.
This is what we get.
Right. And so thinking, just to use an example, those voters who live in eastern DuPage County who sent a Democrat in the form of Tom Cullerton relation to John Cullerton, the Senate president, by the way.
Are they cousins?
Yeah, I don't know. They're, it's the Irish. They're all cousins.
Oh, that's right.
Is send him to Springfield. Well, Tom Cullerton, he's a good guy in Eastern DuPage County when I see him out at events and we're in Rotary together or what have you. So he's fine. He's not part of the problem. And then he goes down to Springfield and he's a roll call vote for John Cullerton.
Exactly. And the same with Laura Murphy in the Schaumburg area. I mean, it's, the suburbanites in particular who, tell one story at home and vote an entirely different way. Melinda Bush in Lake County, very conservative in Lake County, but voted for a Chicago bailout.
So
it would have devastated her school district.
Right. And so how do, is there something that you think we're not doing that we should be doing to do a better job connecting those dots in the minds of voters? Because you see the response and the prospect of a $7.5 billion tax increase or even anything approximating what Madigan has proposed has people, kind of looking for the exits from Illinois even more so than they have up until this point. So what can we do to better connect the dots so people get the connection between Melinda Bush or Laura Murphy or Tom Cullerton and John Cullerton and the Chicago Democrat power structure?
Well, obviously, that's our challenge for the campaign season, but that's the critical thing we need to do is connect those dots for people to say, to realize what goes on down here affects them. So if this budget were to pass, it would require just in income taxes alone another $1,000 per person. And when you think about the $700 million increase in education, half of it goes to Chicago. Who do you think is paying for the $700 million, half of which goes to Chicago? It's the people in the suburbs and downstate. And I think for a long time, these rank and file members have been able to escape that. So I think we just need to pound home any Democrat that votes for these bills is Mike Madigan.
Well, what about the coalition of social services providers that are suing Illinois because they're demanding immediate payment and they're painting the GOP as, you're killing people. Ronner's responsible for people dying.
Well, first of all, that's just not true. In the human service area, yes, there is some paying, but on the other hand, I will tell you, when some agencies close, other agencies pick up the slack. So, there are gaps without a doubt, but I do not believe people are dying. I think one of the most silly things I read from one of those groups was if we didn't have the SIDS, the Sudden Infant Death Syndrome program, babies would die. Well, babies have pediatricians. Every new mother is told how her baby should sleep. Yep. We don't need a program like that run by the state.
Well, the other thing that's so disingenuous from the Chicago Press Corps on this topic of social service, human service providers, is before Bruce Rauner ever came to town, Illinois was the worst in the nation in providing services to persons with developmental disabilities and other vulnerable populations, despite having 15 years of Democrat governors along with Democrat majorities in the General Assembly. And we've piled up $212 billion in debt. And how can we be so bad in providing services after all the money that's been borrowed and spent and taxed and spent if they were really interested? So it seems to me there's a long record of those people that are making these the arguments of the sophist today, like Madigan, like Cullerton and their handmaidens in the Chicago Press Corps, that there's a long track record that should be exposed to just highlight how disingenuous they are.
Oh, it's total hypocrisy. And I often tell the human service providers, the last time you guys got regular cost of doing business increases was under Edgar and George Ryan. I mean, it was under Republicans. They fared far, far better. But Democrats have spun this fantasy that they are the more compassionate people, and yet they are willing to, just let these agencies close by refusing to pass a balanced budget.
Right. They're the more compassionate people. They've had control of the city for 100 years, and the Mike Madigan's had control, frankly, of the state for the last 30. And where are we? So if you don't like what's happening in Illinois, then tell me again who's so compassionate and whose policies are benefiting you or not benefiting you. And, and so I just wonder where this goes from here. Let's say the governor vetoes it, as he's promised to do. I suspect he will, that they don't have the votes to override in the House and the Senate, then where do we go? We're just kind of back to where we were prior to what Madigan did yesterday?
Right, we're back to that brinksmanship problem. But the issue is, come May 31st, we require a supermajority. So they've made the task even more difficult. And this is totally by design. I mean, we could have had this little exercise a month ago and then gotten down to business. And this is Madigan at his, I don't want to say best because there's nothing good about what he's doing, but this is pure Madiganism, and it's the brinksmanship, and that's what hurts the state.
And he just thinks this positions him better to engage in the demagoguery that has served him so well over the last 30 years with respect to the fall elections. This isn't about passing a budget. This isn't about funding social service. This is about posturing to set up a message for the fall.
100%. That's why he said those House Republicans take hundreds of votes that were absolutely meaningless so he could create a mail piece to make them look bad.
All right. She is Christine Radogno, a state senator from the southwest suburbs, and also the Senate Republican leader. Senator Radogno, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hazy skies right now. It's going to be hot and humid throughout the day. We can have some sunshine by the afternoon. A high in the mid to upper 80s. And then tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have some sun, but a passing shower or thunderstorm likely. It again will be warm and humid, highs in the low 80s. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Eastbound I-80, it's jammed from Wolf to 183rd with a crash in the left lane, the Edens. 30 minutes Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 35, the Kennedy. Now an hour from O'Hare to downtown, 30 minutes from Montrose and 25 in the Express, outbound 50 minutes downtown to the airport. The Eisenhower is an hour and 25 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, an hour 5 from Manheim. Outbound, it's now an hour to Thorndale. On Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 50 minutes. Bryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Delays on the Tri-State are southbound from 21 to 176. Northbound 111th, 31st. Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Veterans Memorial, slow Boughton to the Reagan Tollway. Finley to Butterfield, and from the Army Trail Toll to Lake. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
The Greater Chicago Jewish Festival is taking place on Sunday, June 5th at the Cook County Forest Preserve on Oakton, just west of Lehigh, featuring 3 stages of continuous music, an art fair, there's a kosher food fair. Everyone is welcome at the festival, and admission is a suggested $5 donation. For more information, visit jewishfestival.org.
We're so excited about our sold-out golf outing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club coming up on Thursday, June 16th to benefit Operation Support Our Troops America.
If you weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. You can still reserve a tee time at the Bolingbrook Golf Club anytime this spring or summer by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
And thanks to the sponsors who are making our golf outing possible.
RE/MAX Professionals, Charity Golf International, Dr. Amy and Associates, MJ Miller and Company Jewelers in Barrington, Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, and Pearl Mortgage.
Here's some great news. Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates can help you with your retirement game plan. You know Jack, or you should. Jack is the president and founder of Tabota & Associates. He's been helping folks just like you retire successfully for 3 decades. Jack has the insight, information, strategies, and experience you can use to build wealth and keep it. Live good. Retire well with Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates. 630-777-7955. 630-777-7955.
CertaPro Painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today. CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
If you use a free credit monitoring service, you may think it will also protect your identity. But what you may not realize is that some free credit monitoring services feel free to sell your personal information. And that's a big price to pay. At LifeLock, we would never, ever sell your personal information. Instead, we help to protect you from identity theft by using proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a wide range of potential threats. And in the event that we discover a problem, we have a team of US-based specialists who will work to resolve it. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock helps to protect you without selling your information. Remember, free credit monitoring can cost you your personal information. LifeLock memberships start at just $9.99 a month plus applicable taxes. And now you can get 10% off a LifeLock membership. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code NEWS. LifeLock.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, a little quick campus watch segment here. Oberlin College, cross that off the list for Peyton and Eli. It was already crossed off the list.
That's where Robin Meade went to school, I believe.
This is the school. They made news many years ago. This is like where political correctness first started to metastasize. They were the first college where you had to get like verbal assent at each stage of intimacy. Like, so if you're kiss, you're like, may I kiss you?
Wasn't there a permission slip they had to fill out? And then you got a hall pass?
You had to have
kiss your girl.
It was like you and your girlfriend in the car, and then you each had counsel in the back. So the attorney's present. So each level, that was one of the things. Here's another one. Students at Oberlin want to abolish any grades below the letter C, as well as written midterm exams. And maybe have like a conversation, like rap with the professor in lieu of having to do an essay exam or anything like that. 1,300 students at Oberlin have signed the petition, get rid of C grades because,
we don't want anybody to feel bad.
Yeah. Please. Well, and here's the reason. Now, wait till you hear the reason. Maybe you may say, okay, well, that makes sense. Here's the reason. Students say between their activism work,
oh my gosh,
and their heavy course load, finding success within the usual grading parameters is increasingly difficult. Time for a new paradigm. A lot of us, quote, worked alongside community members in Cleveland who were protesting the shooting of Tamir Rice. That's Megan Batista, a co-liaison in Oberlin student government. We needed to organize on campus as well, and it wasn't sustainable to keep driving 40 minutes away, and so a lot of us started suffering academically. So, balancing your left-wing activism work with your studies isn't easy, Amy, and that's why you should get rid of letter grades and written midterms.
I have a suggestion. Focus on your schoolwork first, then your activism.
I have a suggestion. Shut down Oberlin College.
Peyton or Eli? You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer. And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Ask almost anybody about Social Security and Medicare, and they'll tell you, I own my Social Security benefits. I own my Medicare. But the truth is, you haven't earned your Social Security check. These programs don't save or invest what you put in. The government taxes you when you were young and doles out your hard-earned money to pay for retirement and medical expenses of the old today. When you retire, your benefits will be taken from the working youth. Social Security and Medicare are giant welfare programs that force retired Americans and the working young to participate. It adds insult to injury to call them earned benefits. You can't earn a right to have others support you. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Ron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Mark your calendar, Chicago, for Tuesday, June 7th at the Langham Hotel for the 5th Annual Atlas Shrugged Revolution Dinner. This event has everything: a worthy cause, engaging speakers including AM 560's Joe Walsh, a beautiful venue, and fantastic food. Plus, it's your chance to target your support of the Ayn Rand Institute for students in the Chicagoland area. Complete details are online at aynrand.org/Chicago. That's aynrand.org/Chicago.
Place your orders for promotional items now for the year. Get ready for the big trade show. Provide shirts or jackets for all of your employees, students, or church members. Or giveaway items like coffee mugs, pens, or hats. Whatever it is, you can trust an American to take care of it.
This is Sam Gilberto, president of American Embroidery and Screen Printing and American Marketing Products. We specialize in putting your logo on just about anything. Our focus is entirely on you, our customer. We want every customer experience to be outstanding.
Here's an offer to help your budgets for the new year. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers. 10% off and free artwork on embroidery and screen printing orders for all new customers.
We have the capability, capacity, and know-how to get your job done right and on time.
Call 630-766-2825. 630-766-2825. Get more at trustinamerican.com.
Life should be an adventure, and so should your health. It's another can't-miss Health Quest radio show this Saturday morning.
Dr. David Kolbaba. I'm the host of Chicagoland's longest-running health news and science show. As a primary natural health care practitioner, I've been helping people just like you reach a higher place of health and longevity, utilizing more natural strategies as I believe our Creator meant it to be.
Create your adventure in health. Tune into Health Quest Radio every Saturday morning at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is the state of Illinois paying for things that it wants to fund? Just so much crazy talk. We'll ask Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board at 8:08.
And Donald Trump admits that he uses aliases and Hillary Clinton in response to the Inspector General's report. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan Cruz cleaning up after damage left over by storms that struck the Chicago area last night. Chicago aldermen debate a ride-sharing ordinance, and the Cubs handle St. Louis. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. President Obama says world leaders are watching us.
They are paying very close attention to this election.
And he says they don't like what they hear from Donald Trump. This is the president attends a G7 summit in Japan. Fox's Alistair Wanklin is there live, and he say...
Dave, he said that some world leaders are, quote, surprised by what Donald Trump is saying.
They are not sure how seriously to take some of his pronouncements, but they're rattled by him.
He accused Trump of seeking headlines over what is needed to keep the world on an even keel. The president speaking partway through a G7 summit here in Japan, and he spoke about his visit Friday to Hiroshima, saying he wants to underscore the sense of urgency the world should have over nuclear weapons.
Alistair, no tweets or reaction yet from Donald Trump, who was out campaigning late out west, holding a $25,000 per ticket Republican fundraiser. And was he serious, saying on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live he'd debate Bernie Sanders for a price?
We would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity.
Sanders was quick to respond. Game on. He'd love to debate Trump before the California primary next month. The new poll shows Sanders and Clinton neck and neck in that state. They have a lot of damage to clean up in rural Kansas, hit by a powerful tornado.
There's reports that this tornado was on the ground for 23 miles here in Dickinson County in Kansas. So really just a devastating scene here. And now the sun is up and we're really getting a better idea of how violent this tornado was.
That's Fox's Maria Molina near Abilene, outside a pile of littered boards and sticks.
It does appear that it was a home because there's a mattress on there and other belongings as well. We have been seeing friends and family members now showing up.
That big tornado just missed the small town of Chapman. Fewer people needed unemployment aid last week. There was a decline in first-time jobless claims down to 268,000. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Cloudy skies, and right now 66 degrees. 8:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Crews cleaning up the damage left over by storms that struck the Chicagoland area. Showers caused flooding in some parts of the city and suburbs. No one hurt when lightning caused a house fire in Spring Grove. The Democratic-led Illinois House passed a budget for next year, defying Governor Bruce Rauner's wish for pro-business legislation and ongoing talks. Republicans howled in protest when Democrats rammed through a 63-53 vote budget and passed that budget on to the democratically controlled Illinois Senate. Protest underway ahead of McDonald's annual shareholders meeting. Protests began yesterday with a strike at the Rock and Roll McDonald's and continued this morning at McDonald's headquarters in Oak Brook. Amazon bringing more jobs to Joliet. The online retail giant says it plans to open a second warehouse in that city. The facility expected to employ over 2,000 full-time workers by the fall. Joakim Noah's time with the Bulls may be over. The veteran big man telling teammates he's reportedly done with the organization after 9 years in the NBA. Cubs beat St. Louis 9-8. Cleveland over the White Sox 4-3. The news a service of Hum by Verizon. The technology designed to make your car smarter, safer, and more connected. It's easy. Just plug it in and you'll get vehicle diagnostics, emergency assistance, and pinpoint roadside help. Get some peace of mind and a smarter, safer, more connected car at hum.com now. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro. Here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, U.S. stocks set to open higher as crude oil prices hover close to $50 a barrel. The Dow Industrials jumped 145 points yesterday, a second straight day of triple-digit gains. Most Americans say they're doing a bit better financially this year. However, nearly half in the Federal Reserve's annual survey say they'd struggle to cover an unexpected emergency. The co-founder of PayPal says yes, he secretly financed Hulk Hogan's successful lawsuit against Gawker Media. Billionaire Peter Thiel calling the news website a terrible bully. And while you may be standing in long wait lines inside the airport, someone gets over an airport fence or through a gate to a runway every 10 days. The AP's investigation of the nation's busiest airports shows despite fortifications, fence jumpers are as frequent as ever. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Carmen Roberts.
It's 8:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge.
Dave Ramsey.
The reason you're in debt is behavior, not math. The way you get out of debt is behavior, change, not math. You can't borrow your way out of debt. How many times have you heard someone say, I had a whole bunch of credit card debt and I paid it off by getting a second mortgage? You didn't pay it off. You moved it.
The Dave Ramsey Show. Weeknights starting at 7, right before Michael Medved at 10. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Lex Howard, CEO of Balance of Nature. Statistics show that most people will listen to this commercial 7 times before they finally purchase Balance of Nature. Don't be a statistic. Take action to determine your future.
I'm a big supporter of the product. I think it did wonders for me. 2 winters ago, I had, between November and March, I had 5 head colds, and each time it was like a 2-week ordeal. Last winter with your product, I didn't have a single one.
I love it. I really do. I have more energy. I sleep better, and my bowels are becoming more normal.
Begin giving your body the fruits and vegetables it needs every day. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day health challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Thousands of people are choosing to drive with Uber. That's where the riders are. So drivers have less downtime, are busier making more trips, earning more money.
I choose to drive with Uber because of the money and flexibility. I'm my own boss. I get to do what I want, when I want, and still earn extra money. Driving with Uber is the smartest thing I've done.
Earn the extra money you need. Just an hour or 2 a day and the money adds up fast when you drive with Uber. Get started today. Take 2 minutes and sign up right now. Go to drivewithuber.com. Drivewithuber.com.
It's the Ready to Ride sales event and time to gear up for your ultimate off-road adventure. Experience the unmatched performance of a Can-Am Maverick XDS or the affordable Outlander L starting at $63.99. Hurry in by May 31st and save up to $2,000 on select 2015 models, plus get great financing. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now.
Visit our equipment in Sycamore.
Subject to credit approval. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details. For safety and training info, contact the ATV Safety Institute.
It's 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Kennedy traffic is stop and go from Harlem to the Burn Circle. It's 1 hour from O'Hare to downtown, 30 minutes from Montrose, 25 on the Express, outbound 50 to the airport. The Edens, 25 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 35. Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, an hour and 5 minutes from Manheim. Outbound now an hour to Thorndale. Stevenson, 1 hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, southbound stop and go, Bryn Mawr to Fullerton, and 18th to the Stevenson, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State southbound heavy, 21 to Atkinson. Northbound stop and go, 95th to 31st. And Roosevelt to North Avenue. It's about Adams Tollway. It's gummed up from Bartlett to 53. Veterans Memorial, slow Boughton most of the way to Butterfield, and from the Army Trail toll to Lake. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, very warm and humid with clouds and sunshine, high of 85. Mostly cloudy and mild tonight, low 67. Clouds and sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow, humid with a high of 82. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
66 right now at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. On AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Saul Z and the Z-Team Realty. They guarantee to sell your home in 59 days or they'll sell it for free. Log on to callsaul.net for details.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Crooked Hillary. She's as crooked as they come. She had a little bad news today, as you know, from some reports came down weren't so good.
While people were aware of her use of personal email, no one had a full and complete understanding of to the extent.
It doesn't change the fact that I never sent or received any material marked classified.
Are you prepared to debate the major issues facing our largest state and the country before the California primary? Yes or no? He wants to know if you will debate
Yes,
them.
I am. How much is he going to pay me?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So I know you're. Why
I'm
aren't you
all upset about this.
What that
About
you're not on the bus to Springfield?
Yeah, I know a lot of the moms from Blaine and Burley and Bell all hopped on a bus this morning at 6:30, $35, air-conditioned bus, no lunch, no snacks. So, and they're heading to Springfield for a 12 o'clock rally, and then
yeah,
they're going to get back on the bus.
Rally against math. Mark Burley, is that named after Mark Burley? That school?
No, it's not.
Is Bell named after George Bell?
No, it's
not. So CPS schools are underfunded, right? They need more money from the state.
So we're taking it to the streets, and they asked all the moms to please fill up the bus. But who's going to take care of the kiddies after school?
Well, let me ask you a question. This Crane's piece yesterday on the real cost of Chicago Public School borrowing. District now owes $38,000 per student to bondholders in the pension fund. Finds that since 2001, in real terms, inflation adjusted, spending per pupil has increased by 40% in the Chicago public school system.
Wasn't it per pupil like $12,000 a few years ago?
Yeah, now it's north of 16. So 40% of 2001, 40% increase in funding over the last 15 years, and the schools are underfunded. How's that? How do you reconcile that? You can't. I know.
Well, what are we going to do?
I know that's the problem with CEO Karen Lewis and CEO Forrest Claypool and all of those who have presided over the worst public school, one of the worst public school systems in the Western Hemisphere for so long, who cry money as a feint to suggest they care about children or children's education when they just want to propagate a system that doesn't educate children and doesn't do so at exorbitant rates, including a 40% increase in real terms over the last 15 years. How about that? How about that?
I think a lot of the moms, a lot of the parents are concerned about teachers being cut and classroom sizes getting bigger and then extracurriculars being cut as well. And then art class, gym.
Let me tell you what I think a lot of the moms are. A lot of the moms are complicit. A lot of the moms are complicit in terrible schools and and frankly fleecing the entire state to finance this Soviet system. That's what a lot of the moms are. So anybody who thinks that they're on the side of right by continuing to beat the drum along with the pickle bucketers like Karen Lewis and Forrest Claypool and Tiny Dancer and Tiny Madigan and Tiny Cullerton and Tiny Daly before them, you think you're on the side of right? You're not. You're destroying children's lives. That's what you're doing. That's what you're complicit in doing. And you're destroying the state's economy. And you're just financing guaranteed 7-figure pensions for the adults in the system at everybody else's expense. That is what you are doing. You are not doing anything good. In fact, you are doing things that are morally objectionable. Morally objectionable, as is every single person in the city and the state who votes for a Democrat state legislator, who is nothing more than a roll call vote for Mike Madigan, as we saw yesterday, or in the Senate, a roll call vote for John Cullerton. That's what you're doing. And I'd be happy to take responses to that. Anybody who's voted Democrat, you owe this state an apology. You owe your neighbors an apology. At least your neighbors are not voting Democrat. And you're lucky we don't start sending you invoices. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And for more on this topic from a more...
What's the word?
More
Nuanced
even-handed.
or
Even-handed
yes.
perspective. We're now joined by our friend Kristen McQuarrie. She's, of course, a member of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, budget yesterday, you tweeted out Barbara Flynn Curry unintentionally provided a grand insight that there's nothing in this budget that we haven't seen before. So what's the problem?
Right. I mean, they trotted out this budget, as you've been talking about, with less than a couple of hours for lawmakers to comb through it. And so when Republicans started questioning her, she is Mike Madigan's right hand in the legislature. You know, what's in it? Where is all the spending? This is a budget, by the way, that would spend $40 billion, which is the most the state has ever spent at a time when we have, budget gridlock and the least amount of revenue to cover that. We're supposed to just take in $33 billion next year. And basically, Barbara Flynn Curry admitted that, you know, this is the same budget as last year. You've seen it all. There's nothing new in here. Your staff should have known what was in there. You know, it was just a ridiculous answer.
But there's no time in the world for people to go, and lawmakers and their assistants to go through 500 pages. So
no, of course not.
Passing it before you read what's in it.
Well, there's also there's not enough time in the world if you're illiterate and you can't read anyway.
Yeah, but who wrote this 500 pages? I mean, clearly Mike Madigan didn't.
No, I mean, this is not unusual for the Democrats to jam through a budget at the last minute. I mean, I've been down there in Springfield where it is literally, the clock is ticking toward midnight on May 31st, and they will jam through a budget, and the Republicans will stand up and object, and usually have a Democratic governor who will sign it. So the fact that they did this was not terribly out of character, but it was particularly cynical because you have had these working groups of legislators spending hours and hours of their day trying to come up with some sort of a compromise, and this basically undercut that entire effort.
Well, it also exposed that whole effort as just a sham. I mean, it's like busy work for those rank-and-file legislators because Madigan has no interest in that. It seems to me this is a setup. He knows Governor Rauner is going to veto this budget that was passed by the House and will be passed by the Senate. He knows he's going to veto it. He knows he can't override the veto. So this is just posturing to set up the essentially campaign for the fall.
Well, it is, but it's worse than posturing. I mean, you're starting to see, pundits and everybody talking this morning about, that crazy cat Mike Madigan and what's up his sleeve. And you know what? There is nothing impressive or sly or mysterious about what he did yesterday. It was reprehensible. He is playing around with people's lives knowingly. And the fact that his Democratic members went along with this is it's despicable. It's beyond, there's nothing funny or humorous about what happened yesterday.
Well, what do you think about the 6 Democrats who voted against it? Do you think that they were told by Madigan to do so, or they really felt strongly about the budget?
No, I think some of them are kind of swing voters. Scott Drury voted against this. Jack Franks voted against it. I tweeted out the roll call. You can look at that on my Twitter account. Some of them actually probably did have a problem with the state passing a budget that would lead us into $7 billion in deficit. The others are just, then they can go back to their districts and say, I'm independent of Mike Madigan. I didn't vote for this budget. But, of course, they elect him speaker every year.
And they rely on him for funding their campaigns, too. I mean, it's all such kabuki theater. What do you say to this, Kristen McQuarrie? Emily Miller is the policy director at Voices for Illinois Children, one of the social service orgs that's suing the governor for payment. Both sides think the other is going to blink first. In the meantime, people are dying. What do you say to Emily Miller?
I mean, she generally, sides with the Democrats during this whole crisis. She believes that, the state is, I guess, headed in the right direction. And she, along with a lot of other social service providers, are, part of the problem because they're scared of Mike Madigan, so they won't stand up to him. And so they continue to be treated like second-class citizens. And believe me, this has been going on long before Bruce Rauner was elected governor. Social service providers in the state every year have to beg for money from the General Assembly for the past 15, 20 years. This is not anything new. And if they would rise up and, be a little bit more honest about what's going on down there, maybe some of these problems wouldn't be we wouldn't have such gridlock.
Well, why not just, we're $7.5 billion short on Madigan's budget. Why not just jack the state income tax to 5.5% and do some other tax increases, maybe introduce some new taxes and fees and just make up the gap that way. What's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, that's what they're pushing to do. And the longer this goes on, if Governor Rauner does veto the entire budget and we go all the way to November, spending much more than we're taking in, careening towards the cliff, that's a huge problem too. And that will put more pressure on lawmakers to not only increase taxes, but to increase them more than they would have had they dealt with this, in a responsible and honest way 2 years ago.
So are lawmakers going to be working through the Memorial Day weekend, trying to work on this budget, or are they going to wait till the last minute?
Oh, that's hilarious.
They generally do work through Memorial Day weekend. It's really up to the Senate now. And the Senate does not have to go along with this. I mean, if Senate President John Cullerton had some spine, he would push back against this and strip some of the spending. But again, he has not shown that he is much of a stopgap when it comes to spending in Springfield. In fact, I probably would predict the Senate will add more spending because they'll want to get in all of their special projects before they send it to the governor.
Some more meat
well,
on
if John Cullerton had a spine, Kristen, and if Candy, what's the old saying? What's the old saying about Christmas? If little boys' wishes were candy and nuts, everybody would have. I can't remember the saying now.
Don't look at me.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, everybody would have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, there you go. It's if and buts were candy and nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Dang it! I kind of ruined that. Yeah,
you did butcher it.
I'm unfamiliar with that one, Dan.
Well, now you can use it. And
I don't think she's going to.
Yeah,
Dan.
I don't think so.
You deliver it better than I was.
Girl.
How about same it as I can't even do that. Same as it ever was. I was going to do my David Byrne.
Same as it ever was.
Yeah.
No,
I can't do
Kristen,
anything.
what do you think?
I like that one better. That's a little more modern. I'm thinking Dan is quoting from, like a 1930s Christmas story. Not sure.
I can't do anything. All right. Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. And she joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hazy skies right now, and it's going to be warm today. Hot and humid's the name of the game. Highs in the upper 80s. And then tomorrow, good old Friday, before a 3-day weekend. What's not to like? But we're going to have sunshine. Few passing.
4-day weekend for some.
Oh, yeah. Fancy Dan and his fancy friends. Going to play the fancy golf courses. So tomorrow when Dan's playing, he's going to have some sun, and then by the afternoon, a quick shower or thunderstorm, a high of 82 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telamore.
Thank you, Amy. Buongiorno. Good morning, Dan. On the fancy Edens right now, traffic's improving. 25 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 35 with slow pockets out to Winnetka Road. Traffic's jammed on eastbound I-80 from Parker to 183rd. There was an earlier crash there. To the Kennedy, where it's 55 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 50. The Eisenhower, still an hour and 25 minutes from Thorndale to the post office, an hour 5 from Manheim. Outbound, it's 55 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Up on 40 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go, 87th to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway, it's bottled up from Bartlett Road to 53. And the Veterans Memorial, slows 75th to the Reagan Tollway, North Avenue to 290 as well. Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Oh, it's coming Father's Day, and you want to get your dad something very unique and different for Father's Day. So why don't you give him the gift of a good night's sleep? And it's a health reason, too. I don't know if you know this, but 82% of people don't know that you're supposed to change your pillows every 2 years or less. Why? Because pillows absorb dead skin, dirt, skin oils, dust mites. That can cause allergies, acne, asthma, and who knows what else. So if you haven't already done so, you need a washable MyPillow, and so does your dad. I might buy one for my dog, Bunky. Why not? And with a 10-year warranty, it's a great gift and a health investment. And you'll sleep better, too. I know I do. That's why MyPillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. So just visit MyPillow.com, type Amy, A-M-Y, in that promo code, 2 pillows for the price of one, or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. MyPillow.com, promo code Amy. Do it now. 800-489-0201.
Now that spring has arrived, it's likely you're looking forward to the warmer weather. But if you're a business owner, facilities manager, or maintenance engineer, you risk the same potential problem every year. A complete system failure. In fact, up to half of all commercial air conditioning units fail upon startup each season due to the lack of regular maintenance and repair. Let the professionals at Air Comfort make a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system before there's a problem. A poorly operating air conditioning system results in uneven temperatures and humidity problems, leading to unhealthy mold and mildew growth. Don't compromise your business's overall air quality. Schedule today with Air Comfort. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Even if you're under contract with another provider, let Air Comfort provide your second opinion. After all, there's a reason why hundreds of businesses have trusted Air Comfort with their mechanical maintenance for more than 80 years. That's Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935.
I have migraines, and that's actually another thing I've noticed with the Balance of Nature is my migraines and my headaches are a lot better than they ever were. Yeah, like because I would get them bad where I would throw up. I mean, I was sick with migraines, and I've noticed I don't want to speak too soon and jinx myself, but no, I have not had one near and if I do, they're very mild and I can get them to go away very quickly, but I have not had a massive migraine since I've been taking.
Oh,
and that's one thing I really, really like about it, yes.
Make the change today. No more synthetics, no more extracts. Today is your chance to get it right. Accept and complete Dr. Howard's 120-day health challenge to earn a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, there's remodeling going on in our offices here.
Yeah.
The lobby area is starting to look like the deck on the USS Enterprise. I don't really understand what's happening.
Well, it's modern. We're going for a new look here at AM 560, The Answer. It's going to be sleek. When you walk in, you're going to be like, you know what? I want to do a weekend show here. I want to work at AM 560, The Answer. I want to advertise here on this station. That's what that lobby says.
Nice sales pitch.
When you walk in. Okay, so we have to keep you updated on the Drew Peterson murder for hire trial.
Guilty.
And yesterday they played the rest of the tapes because you have to play all the tapes, right? You need to play all the tapes.
That's what Blagos.
Play all the tapes.
Hey, beautiful wife.
Hey.
How's my beautiful wife?
Play all the tapes.
So they didn't play Blagos tapes. They played Drew Peterson talking to a man who's known in prison as Beast, Antonio Smith. His prison name is Beast. And he was going to have his uncle.
It's funny, my prison name, Antonio Smith. It's weird.
He was going to have his uncle allegedly kill Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow because Drew Peterson says if Glasgow's alive, he's always going to be after me for the murder of Stacy. So
Why would he be after him? He's spending the rest of his life in prison. But okay.
Okay, well.
He's criminal. He's not smart. I get it.
All right, I'm going to run this by you and just say guilty or not guilty. Yesterday they said, Peterson, I'm almost in tears that you're doing this for me. Smith, Yeah, that's the first step to do everything we've been working on. Right. That's the first step. Because
I
if
wanted
he's
to play
gone,
Antonio Smith.
Okay, well, I don't have a copy for you.
Oh.
But if he's gone, I won't get prosecuted for Stacey because he wants to prosecute people without evidence. So then they went on and they exchanged a picture of what, Glasgow looks like for Beast's uncle, just in case. Did I lose you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what you're saying is they plotted to murder James Glasgow, which is what Drew Peterson has been charged with and will be convicted with, and it's going to take the jury about an hour to convict him, and the only reason it'll take an hour is because they're going to have lunch.
Oh, my God. No, it's not going to take an hour. It's going to take, I bet, a week for them to come back with a verdict, because in these tapes, it's long on gossip. I mean, Drew Peterson dreaming about how he's going to have a booze-fueled party when James Glasgow is no longer around, but they never use the word kill or murder. They kind of dance around the subject.
Is there any doubt in your mind, based on the contents of those recordings that you're describing, is there any doubt in your mind that he's going to be convicted?
I think he might get off.
He is going to be convicted, and it is going to happen in a New York minute. You heard it here first.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Ah, Chicago. There's so much to do and enjoy. But when was the last time you explored the city? It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind of commuting and working, but not experiencing everything that Chicago has to offer. It's time to take a new adventure this summer. And it starts with the Hyatt Centric, the Loop Chicago in the heart of the city. The Hyatt Centric is an exclusive, one-of-a-kind property set in historic 1920s-era Art Deco decor. You'll enjoy bright, spacious rooms, innovative, upscale French cuisine, panoramic rooftop dining, all just minutes from Millennium Park and the Mag Mile. Create your adventure during the Hyatt Centric Summer Promotion, featuring special rates for your weekend getaway. Now through May 31st, your Thursday through Sunday reservation receives up to a 15% room rate discount. That's 15% on the weekends. Reserve today at theloopchicago.centric.hyatt.com. theloopchicago.centric.hyatt.com. Rooms are fully prepaid and non-refundable at the time of booking, based on availability.
Oh, okay, great. Birthdays, weddings, graduations never end. So don't stress about giving the perfect gift. Never go to a party empty-handed when ChicagoRadioDeals.com is just a click away. You can purchase and print a gift certificate the same day. Give a $100 gift certificate to Zembard Jewelers in New Lenox. Here's the deal. You pay only $50 to buy that $100 gift. If you're feeling more generous, then check out the Movado watches from Duval Jewelers in Harwood Heights. Nothing is more beautiful than these handcrafted timepieces on the wrist of the person you love. Plus, there is a $200 Duval certificate for only $100. Visit ChicagoRadioDeals.com for great gift ideas, dinners, tickets to live music, comedy, Lake Michigan cruises, bed and breakfast, overnight stays in Milwaukee and Door County, spa treatments, and much more. Just find it all at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy joins us to tell us when Hillary Clinton will be visited by a federal prosecutor. That's at 8:38.
And he's known as Chicago. The walking man has been attacked, and there's a GoFundMe page. We'll give you the grand total. But first, let's go into the newsroom. While Dan rolls his eyes, here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 68 degrees. The president says world leaders that he's meeting with at the G7 summit in Japan are a bit rattled by Donald Trump. The president also said this morning that he'll be downplaying any tension in the Democratic presidential contest.
You start off and everybody's thinking, oh, this is fine. This is going to be a friendly competition. We're going to debate ideas. And somebody says one thing and then another person says another thing, and that felt a little sharper than I expected.
And so would you like to see this debate? Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders.
We would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity, okay?
So if it was done for charity, you would agree to do that?
If he paid a nice sum toward a charity, I would love to do that.
Trump on last night's Jimmy Kimmel show, saying he'd love to debate the Vermont senator ahead of the California primary. It's now illegal in most cases to have an abortion after 19 weeks in South Carolina. Governor Nikki Haley signing that measure yesterday, making South Carolina the 17th state to approve such a ban. Protests have begun ahead of the McDonald's annual shareholder meeting Actually, the protest began yesterday with a strike at the Rock and Roll McDonald's, but this morning protesters are trying to push through police lines at the McDonald's headquarters in suburban Oak Brook. Chicago officials are considering an ordinance that would place stricter regulations on ride-sharing companies. Aldermen discussed the legislation yesterday. City Council would vote on that measure next month. Uber and Lyft are threatening to leave the city if it is passed. And this morning, the Pentagon says it's going to upgrade the technology that runs the nation's nuclear arsenal from floppy disks. That's right, 8-inch floppy disks. The Government Accountability Office report reveals they're still using the disks from the mid-1970s to manage ICBMs and nuclear bombers. It will take a year and a half. Chicago sports, Cubs over St. Louis 9-8. Cleveland over the White Sox 4-3. The news, a service of Hum by Verizon. Hum by Verizon, the technology designed to make your car smarter, safer, and more connected. It's easy. Just plug it in, and you'll get vehicle diagnostics, emergency assistance, and pinpoint roadside help. Get some peace of mind and a smarter, safer, more connected car. Visit hum.com now. 8:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says people need to eat their crow and move on.
Don't underestimate the hurt feelings. People have painted themselves into a corner. They've got egg on their face, and pride is a powerful emotion. There's a lot of prideful people now who have to say, okay, I was wrong. Didn't think he'd get the nomination. Didn't think people would get behind him. He's got the nomination. People are behind him.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
This is your captain speaking. You are now free to roam.
Fact. College Illinois 529 prepaid tuition can help pay tuition at schools across the nation, not just in Illinois. Purchase now and lock in your college cost at today's plan rates before the May 31st deadline. Enroll today at collegeillinois.org.
Right now at Feldco, get 2 windows for the price of 1. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Illinois deserves an honest analysis of the problems facing our state. Avoid the spin from the mainstream media and Springfield insiders by tuning in to Illinois Rising every Sunday at 3 p.m. AM 560's Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute tackle the policy and political issues that matter most and discuss possible solutions. So if you're sick of the status quo, then be sure to listen to Illinois Rising this Sunday at 3 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer.
8:35 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Eden's inbound. It's 22 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 30 minutes. The Kennedy is getting an hour from O'Hare to downtown. 40 minutes from Montrose. 35 on the Express. Outbound 25 minutes to Montrose and 40 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, an hour and 10 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 50 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 50 to Thorndale. Stevenson is an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40 minutes. Ryan 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, slow Bryn Mawr to Fullerton at 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State. Stop and go 87th to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams tollway delays from Bartlett Road to 53. Reagan Tollway York to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial from 63rd at the Reagan Tollway and North Avenue to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Very warm and humid today. Clouds and sunshine mixed. High 86. Partly cloudy and mild. Low 64. Overnight, 68 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so Trump was on with Jimmy Kimmel yesterday, last night.
I'll tell you all about it. It's very exciting because Jimmy Kimmel Sent a message to Donald Trump. He actually offered him an invitation on behalf of Bernie Sanders, and that is to debate Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, to do it before the California primary.
Since Hillary won't.
Yes.
Are you prepared to debate the major issues facing our largest state and the country before the California primary? Yes or no? He wants to know if you will debate
Yes,
now.
I am. How much is he going to pay me?
You would do it for a price? What would the
because
price
if
be?
I debated him, we would have such high ratings, and I think I should take that money and give it to some worthy charity. Okay?
So if it was done for charity, you would agree to do that?
If he paid a nice sum toward a charity, I would love to do that.
There's an applause line, and it could be hosted by Nickelodeon, and Mark Summers could moderate, and they could both have to run through the Double Dare course.
Oh, that's right.
That'd be fun. Now that would be a debate I'd
get
actually
dumped on
watch.
by paint, right, or
between
slime.
The two of them.
Yeah, the slime,
the green slime.
Green slime. But no, wouldn't this be unprecedented if Donald Trump debated Bernie Sanders?
Why? He's probably going to be the nominee because Hillary's going to jail. That's what the State Department Inspector General essentially concluded yesterday. So she's gone. It's time for time for everybody to feel the burn. Isn't that right? Andy McCarthy from National Review Online, who joins us now. Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor, so he knows something about this topic. Andy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. How are you?
Good. And so that Inspector General report, should we get ready to pop the champagne corks when Hillary is taken away in cuffs?
Well, it still remains the case that she doesn't get taken away in cuffs unless it's the Justice Department that pulls the trigger. And I haven't seen anything in the way of an indication from Loretta Lynch or her minions that they're looking to do that. I think it's interesting that these investigations continue to swirl because, all these investigators, whether it's the FBI, the Justice Department, even the State Department, they all answer to the president. So, you have to think that if Obama absolutely didn't want these investigations going on, they wouldn't be. But at the same time, I'd be very, very surprised if Loretta Lynch actually approved an indictment of Mrs. Clinton.
But you know Jim Comey, the FBI director.
Yeah, for about 30 years.
And how does Jim Comey not refer Hillary for criminal prosecution?
Well, I wouldn't want to speak for Jim, and I don't speak to him about what he's up to these days. But I think what people have to bear in mind is that while there are statutes of limitations and all sorts of things that require the progress of cases once a case is brought, there's no statute of limitations or of the law that requires the Attorney General to act on a recommendation by the FBI. So, the question, to me at least, isn't how could Jim Comey not refer a criminal case? The question is, what will Loretta Lynch do if and when the FBI recommends a criminal case? And my suspicion is that she'll just sit on it. She doesn't want to. She won't want to try to rebut what the FBI has done. I often point out to people that Jim Comey isn't just some senior FBI agent. He was a U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, a U.S. attorney in Virginia, and the deputy attorney general under in the Bush administration. So he's as good a federal prosecutor as anyone they have in the Justice Department.
So do you think I'm sorry. Do you think she'll sit on it until after the election?
Pardon me?
Do you think Loretta Lynch will sit on this until after the election?
Yeah, because nothing forces her to act. And look, Hillary Clinton is as mind-boggling as it is to some of us, has a very good chance of being president of the United States, which means Loretta Lynch could have a very good chance of being Attorney General in the United States for at least another 4 years. And that may be important to her.
Oh, yeah. Heavens. These cabinet officers actually have kind of their own political aspirations that inform their views. Boy, I would have never thought that. But here's the thing about Jim Comey. When the FBI concludes its investigation and it's put into Loretta Lynch's hands, the questions are going to be asked of both Comey and Loretta Lynch. Well, what was the recommendation, and what, if anything, are you going to do about it? It's going to be impossible to keep Comey's conclusions and his decision secret, isn't it?
Yeah, I sure hope so, and I think Congress could play a big role in that. Congress, of course, funds the FBI and the Justice Department, so if they want to get this information out into the open, there are ways for Congress to do that. I don't think this particular Republican-controlled Congress has done much in the way of oversight of the Obama administration, which is part of the problem. And for that reason, I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that to happen. But, look, I would expect that, between press coverage and congressional inquiry, if the FBI makes a recommendation, we're going to find out a lot about it.
Should we read anything into the fact that, according to at least one report yesterday, Hillary Clinton has still not been interviewed by the FBI, and there's no interview scheduled? Does that lead you to draw any conclusions?
Well, I've been. I was one of the main reasons I was so glad to see this investor in the IG report. My little tongue tied there. Yesterday was the report in it that she had not cooperated with the IG investigation, and neither had her senior people. And I've been contending all along that I imagine that the senior people who have been interviewed by the FBI did it because they got some kind of promise of immunity, at least for speaking, not for charges necessarily being dropped. And I don't think Mrs. Clinton is going to speak without immunity of some kind. And I think that for all her public posturing about how much she wants to cooperate and how much she's encouraging everyone else to cooperate, I think we ought to take a look at what the IG of her own department, the State Department, says about the level of cooperation that we got with respect to things that happened during her tenure. It's a big fat zero.
So in this 78-page report that was issued by the Inspector General of the State Department, were there any other Secretary of States who used private emails or personal emails with private servers to hand out?
Amy, nobody else had private servers. There was some use of private email, and of course, especially by Secretary Powell. And Mrs. Clinton, of course, is playing that up to a fare-thee well. What they conveniently forget to mention when they tell you that is that the law has changed several times since Colin Powell was Secretary of State, and it was changed in 2013 to make it clear in no uncertain terms that what Mrs. Clinton did was not only against the rules, but as I tried to point out yesterday, the rules are meant to implement the Federal Records Act, so it was against the law, too.
Right, and so the Federal Records Act, that goes back to 1950, but of course it gets updated with technological innovation like emails and servers. And the other point that was interesting yesterday the State Department made is the exclusivity nature, right? You can use, it seems like you can use private email in certain circumstances, but the exclusivity of everything that was State Department related being on her private server, that's a problem. And the State Department now is kind of walking away, trying to create some distance between itself and Hillary Clinton, saying nobody realized the scope of her private email use.
Yeah, well, they have big problems themselves because she emailed freely within the department. So obviously a lot of people knew she was using private email, which they may have thought was peculiar because she was also sending out admonitions department-wide telling everyone else they weren't allowed to do that. And now you're quite right. I mean, the issue here is exclusivity. She systematically used this private system, and it was precisely done to avoid the Freedom of Information Act, to avoid congressional inquiries, judicial inquiries, and the like. We've been focused a lot on the classified information piece of this, but I think that that's actually a side issue that was necessary because of the greater goal that she had, which was just to shield herself from any accountability whatsoever.
Mm. He is Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor and contributor at National Review Online. Check out his musings. Andy, thanks so much for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Huge.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Some hazy skies right now. We're going to have some clouds, some sun throughout the day, but hot and humid, a high near 90 degrees. And then tomorrow, Periods of sun with a couple of showers and thunderstorms rolling through here. Warm and humid again, a high of 82. Let's get the travel times. How's that inbound Kennedy?
Well, Amy, have some potential bad news for you. At North Avenue right now, IDOT is responding. We have a report of some ducks on the left shoulder of the roadway. Now, traffic was already heavy in that area, but it's likely to back up further if this doesn't get resolved quickly. Again,
nobody has a shotgun?
Dan.
There you go. There you go. Duck for dinner, anyone. Right now, it's 55 minutes O'Hare to downtown. We're going to watch that. We just had this reported, so this could affect the travel time. It's 35 minutes from Montrose and 40 in the Express. They're heavier. Outbound 45 minutes downtown to the airport. Eden's 21 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction. Outbound it's 30. The Eisenhower still rough at an hour and 10 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 50 minutes. The Stevenson, it's an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40 minutes. The Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tollway still have some delays, but they're improving quickly. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Ducks.
We're so excited about our sold-out golf outing at the Bolingbrook Golf Club coming up on Thursday, June 16th to benefit Operation Support Our Troops America.
If you weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. You can still reserve a tee time at the Bolingbrook Golf Club anytime this spring or summer by visiting BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
And thanks to the sponsors who are making our golf outing possible.
Remax Professionals, Charity Golf International, Dr. Amy and Associates, MJ Miller and Company Jewelers in Barrington, Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, and Pearl Mortgage.
For life's aches and pains, choose Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray. It works fast, and it's easy to use. Designed to work odor-free in all those remote areas. It works here. It's odor-free here. It works here. Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray. Fast-acting, easy-to-use, odor-free pain relief for all those remote areas. Available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and other fine retailers.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream idea brought to you by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 27 Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent, so keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Imagine your life 5 years from now. Are you on the path you want to be on? It's time to take control of your future by getting a world-class education from one of the nation's top universities. Arizona State University is now offering over 100 top-tier degree programs 100% online. It's the exact same degree our on-campus students receive, but you can learn from anywhere in the country on your own schedule. For information, call 1-800-577-2026. Learn from ASU's world-renowned faculty and use ASU's global recognition to improve your visibility, professional network, and gain real-world experience you can start using today. The Wall Street Journal ranked ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Now discover how ASU Online can stand out on your resume and help separate you from the competition. We're ready to help you learn to thrive in your life, in your career, and beyond. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-577-2026. That's 1-800-577-2026.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
I have some great and exciting news for you, Dan. You know, we discussed earlier that the walking man was beaten on Lower Wacker Drive by some 41-year-old crazy guy with a baseball bat.
Yeah, this homeless con man pickpocket.
He's not a homeless con man. He's a vendor's license, street license,
He's
to
a
sell
homeless con man
jewelry and other items. But he's been walking around Chicago.
Like a gypsy.
Yeah, he's been walking around Chicago for 40 years. He's kind of he adds character, I think, to our city.
Is that what he does?
Yeah, him and the high guy, and then Vince, who wears the flashy suits. You know Vince?
No.
And you don't know Scary Mary? These are like people you should
I know
be friends with because you have no friends.
Right, exactly.
Well, you have Matt.
And someday I'll be living on Lower Wacker.
And hopefully you'll walk around when that happens. Well, they started a GoFundMe page, and earlier it was at 3,000, then at 5.
Yeah.
Guess what it's at now?
No.
Oh, gosh, you don't want to play these games.
15,000.
$11,478.
That's great. Well, I mean, it's typical because Chicago residents fall for the con man every time. So why any difference in this case? I mean, look at who we have in public office. So I'm hardly surprised. Now, this is the end of my week because I have the day off tomorrow.
Must be nice to be Dan Proft. You're going to go golfing?
Not all the time.
Are you going to go
rarely.
Golfing tomorrow?
Probably.
How was your golf game yesterday?
Not great.
We'll move along.
I want to end the week on a high note. My week on a high note. So we have all this negative, like the budget and what's going on at DePaul with these idiots. And, just terrible leadership of all of our civic institutions. But there's still some hope. We want to do these positive stories, too. This story comes to us from the Boston area. It's about Don O'Neill, who I think is 86 years old right now. He lost
your age, right?
Kind of? Right, yeah. my generation.
Yeah,
the greatest generation. He lost his sister to an accident back in the 30s. She was 3 years old. She got hit by an ice truck. This is how old it was. Killed. They made a statue in her honor at the time.
Ice sculpture?
And
oh my God!
No, not ice sculpture. That is just, it's too soon. This just happened 80 years ago. Too soon! And so, but the statue was lost, and it became a project for this aspiring Eagle Scout.
Oh, okay.
To refurbish it and find a place for it. So listen to Don O'Neill. This is the 86-year-old gentleman who lost his sister.
Then 6 years old, Don was holding the hand of his sister Joan, a toddler.
Holding her hand, and the driver came out from delivering the ice, ran right over her. The marks of the truck wheels were...
This is awful. How is this uplifting?
So this is a long time ago, right? But it's still obviously poignant. He lost his sister, 3 years old. He was there when she was killed in that accident. Oh my God. And now enter John Williams, this aspiring Eagle Scout, this young man who's aspiring to be an Eagle Scout, and listen to what he did.
John Williams attends St. Mary's in Dedham. He's working to become an Eagle Scout, and for a service project, the priest suggested he refurbish something he had noticed, long forgotten, in the basement. On it, a name.
That was pretty surprising because it was such a young girl.
Before long, John connected the dots.
It's a tremendous job. I'm sorry.
No, don't you apologize.
This is so many years.
I know.
I'm sorry.
What John didn't realize when he started is that what he had actually fixed was a piece of Don's heart.
How about that? So, and they met, and now that statue is at a prominent place. It was refurbished and put in a prominent place to honor Mr. O'Neill's sister. How about that?
No. I don't know if I like this warm and fuzzy side of you. I'm scared. I need to go to my safe space.
You know what I need?
Furry Crocs?
No. Well, yes, but I need someone to fix my heart.
We had part of it slinky, but I straightened it.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing, independently owned business bank. Signature Bank listens to your story, learns about your business, and sticks with their customers. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kurt Penn, founder and CEO of Good Foods. In 2007, I was shopping in a natural foods grocery store and had a vision for a company that would produce fresh, all-natural foods